Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. Soly here, joined by my guy, Mr. DJ Pie. Hello, Pie Man.
Hello, guys. Happy Memorial Day, as many people are listening to this. Beautiful weekend here in Milwaukee. It's good to be with you guys. Good to see you.
Great to be talking some golf this evening with our dear friend, Mr. Kevin Van Valkenburg. KVV is back. Hello, Kevin. How are you?
Soly, I'm great. Rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. I'm very excited to be back on the Sunday pod. It's very special to be with you gentlemen, as always.
We got a lot to discuss tonight. We're not going to get pinned down too much on the professional golf that was played this weekend, but we are going to talk about it. And week after week on virtually all professional tours worldwide, more players trust their game to the performance, comfort, and style of Footjoy. In fact, for 80 consecutive years, Footjoy has been the shoe of choice on tour.
A lot of
it's
years.
Almost hard to believe. Yeah, we've read this before, and I still I'm like 80.
Wow,
oh
80
my
years.
God, I kind of missed that one. You would think they would miss like 1 year along the way, but no, they are obsessed with making the best golf shoes in the game, period, from the modern classic Premier Series that is often imitated but never duplicated to the all-new Hyperflex that is changing the game for Justin Thomas. It's still a little jarring to see Justin Thomas in a different shoe other than the classic Footjoys. But you guys have been beating up you guys have been telling me all about the Hyperflexes.
Yeah, they're great, man. I was trying to keep them fresh for Belfast. I got this great pair of kind of white and light blue gray ones, and I didn't want them to get dirty, so I wasn't wearing them. I wanted to save them for this big video project we just did, and now the floodgates are open. You know, I'm wearing them to the convenience store. I'm wearing them to the gas station. They're great. I love it.
DJ, I just wore them, that exact model, the white with the
Yeah.
light blue, for 27 holes yesterday that I walked. Lovely on the feet. 27 holes is a lot for me to put in, but man, I thought these are the best shoes I got.
It's less than 100, which we're going
to talk about that.
Oh,
yeah, you're doing some hashtag testing, which we're going to get to here. But
exactly.
Footjoy has many options for whenever, wherever, and however you play the game. Not to mention a ton of sick collaborations that are on the way this year. To check out what's new and to find the best shoe for you, visit footjoy.com. Deej, take us around the world of golf.
Ben Griffin is your winner at the Charles Schwab.
Put him on the team.
Put him on the Ryder Cup team. At the Senior PGA, Angel Cabrera is your winner. Is that 2 in a row for Angel, I believe?
Yes, it is.
It is. Pontius Nyholm wins on the Corn Ferry Tour, beats our guy Johnny Kiefer in a playoff at the Visit Knoxville Open. Johnny Kiefer, if we're throwing out Ryder Cup spots.
Put them both on the team. Come on.
We got 2 TBD spots.
I cannot wait to talk Ryder Cup players. I am coming at you.
Boys are going to be bursting out of the gate to try and get that back nine tonight. On the LPGA, Chisato, is that how you say that?
Sure.
Chisato Iwai wins the Mexico Riviera Maya Open at Mayakoba by 6.
Put her on the International Crown team. Let's go.
Put her on the US Ryder Cup team. And Christopher Wrighton shoots 62 to get into a playoff and wins the Soudal Open on the DP World Tour. I believe he started the day in 23rd place and just came in and snatched the trophy for his first win on the DP World Tour. But let's start with the Schwab, Soly, should we? Ben Griffin and Matty Schmid. We knew it was going to be a hand-to-hand combat for those guys, starting 4 clear of 3rd place. Ricky Fowler, they both were starting it at 13 under.
Which, let's just be like 4 clear of Ricky. That was so that he was 5 clear going into the final round, I think was what we were all thinking.
That's not sporting, but yes, I do. I will agree. Griffin opens up with an eagle at the first, stuffs it in there at the first hole and pays it off for an eagle, and birdie at the second opens up a huge lead. But then I think it was all bogeys on the way in. Now that I'm looking at the card, bogey 6, bogey 7, bogeys 13, bogeys 16 to give a lot of it back and kind of hanging on for dear life there as Matty Schmid chips in. It was kind of one of those like, well, he's got to make. Holy shit, he did make it. Whoa, he made it. All of a sudden, Ben Griffin needs to make this putt on 18 to win his first solo PGA Tour title. Of course, won the team event with my guy Andrew Novak a couple of weeks ago, but now he is also a solo winner on the PGA Tour. Soly, what stuck out to you about Ben Griffin this week?
Listen, was it like the most amazing Sunday we've had? It was not. No, it was not. But this was I think for Ben Griffin's sake, we should consider this his first career PGA Tour win, right? I mean, winning a team event is wonderful. That's it's more of a silly season event than I know it's during the middle of the season, and I know there's whatever available and all that stuff. This was the real first win, and it was a good one. I mean, this was a class golf course. This is, it's not the most appealing golf course on TV, even after the renovation, but they had that place firmed up this week. I mean, watching guys hit shots into that 4th hole, watching it be played the way it's supposed to be played, like it's a 250-yard par 3 where you're supposed to hit a run-up shot, was awesome. Watching Matty Schmid land on the front of the green on 16 and have it stop just a few feet away from the hole is like, I was kind of like looking around like, why is there only 2 guys under par? And it's a testament to the condition they had this golf course in for this tournament. So it wasn't pretty. I saw that say it wasn't pretty, but like he outlasted everybody else. There's a reason why these guys were kind of looking silly on this golf course. And, closing it out with 4 bogeys after opening like that. Again, didn't make for the most entertaining Sunday, but it was a really, really good quality win. Not the most amazing field, but some quite big names up there. And he got it done. And you tip your cap to him.
He's not going to win the metaphorical dunk contest out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not any kind of skill set that's just going to absolutely blow you away. But if you're a real golf pervert, a real sicko, and you really like getting into how guys build careers and how they just markedly, like, he just has gotten better every year, and he's kind of slowly chipped away. The driver has kind of turned into this weapon. It seems like where, it's kind of not only added distance, but also just started hitting it straighter, which kind of seems to be a trend with some of these guys out there. But also, like, his iron play has just gotten better and better. You can tell he's one of those guys that, like, is learning golf courses. That first year, you don't really, you kind of get punched in the face by a lot of PGA Tour courses, and it seems like he's just found out like how to contend, and now finally today, like, how to slam the door at a big boy golf tournament. And it's just, I don't know, that stuff is, like you said, you got to absolutely tip your cap, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like the most exciting thing. It is just like, man, it kind of is just, he's just doing everything well, and he's just turned into a really well-rounded, nice PGA Tour player, and now PGA Tour winner. So, Kev, any other Ben Griffin thoughts?
I just think that golf pervert is the best description of Soly that I've ever heard. Thank you, Deej, for putting that in. Just getting in and just
Super
rubbing out the
H.
data, just super H for the data. So thank you. No, I mean, look, I think this felt a lot like a regular season NFL game. Like, it's not like super compelling. I don't need this to be the primetime game. I don't need to fix this shit. It's on. I enjoyed it. I think Mark Immelman summed it up kind of fine in the back nine. Like, I'm just desperately waiting for someone to hit a good shot. And, Schmidt hit a really good shot on 16 and then hit that chip in on 18. And that was just enough entertainment to get me through the day.
Ben Griffin, I'm trying to think of, I'm not near, certainly not a ball knower. Unfortunately, I get all my knowledge from the ball knowers, so I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Deej. Thank you.
If Ben Griffin's a quarterback, he just seems like one of those, like, totally serviceable, team 7 and 6. But like,
it's Kirk Cousins, man.
He's Kirk
manager.
Right? Yeah, guy's not going to get you in trouble.
Can I throw some nuclear flames onto this? So it'd be like Jalen Hurts if he was on a normal team. That's my TC. That's my TC voice. I do not agree with that take in any way.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great. I think, TC, huge Eagles fan now. I think, look, is there golfers who are just like the sum of their parts? Like, I think that kind of Ben Griffin. Is it a cute story? Like, went away to
it's amazing.
Work in insurance. That's awesome.
It is amazing. Like, it is. Like, it's very storybook, and it's going to get brought up for literally the whole rest of his career. But it's one of the few like tallies in the opposite column for all the examples we have of, like, dude, it's so freaking hard up there. Like, I play golf with this guy, and he shoots 61. He can't get status anywhere. Like, you got no shot, man. You got no shot. You have no special skill. You're not longer than anybody else. You're not more accurate than anybody else. You're not that much better of an iron player. He just, like, bucks the trend of all of that. Like, you just do not go from selling mortgages to winning on the PGA Tour and potentially being in the conversation for a Ryder Cup spot. It just does not happen. It's a really, really ridiculous and fun story. And I he's not like the most visually appealing or most fun guy to root for, but I have zero reason to root against him. Like, he seems like a really likable guy. I don't know him personally, but I've enjoyed listening to some of the interviews that he's done and his storytelling aspect. He just seems super grateful to be out there and to be and able to enjoy it. Maybe a different perspective than he has having stepped away from the game for just a little bit. But for still such a young guy to still have this level of success, it's really, really impressive considering he had a year off.
The Biden blockers that should be his gimmick. He should just keep those glasses and roll with them. Take those all the way to Bethpage, Soly.
It sounds like he's all about him. I haven't seen him. I don't know the last time we saw him without him. I know they're prescription, right? Or
yes.
So yeah, I don't know. That very well may be the case, Kev. I think what's What's interesting about a guy like this too is, I was mentioning the golf pervert perspective of just kind of watching guys like slowly level up and slowly kind of go from a anonymous guy to a winner. And then I think the next question is like, okay, well, what happens next? He's done it, coming into this season. I feel like he wasn't really the horse for a lot of the big boy courses. It's a lot of Mexico, Butterfield, Palm Springs. I would put Colonial like in a very different category, especially a Colonial that's playing firm as fuck like it was today, than those places. I would also put Quail Hollow in a very different category than a lot of those places, which like those greens were also playing extremely firm. But other than that, it's like, he's played what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 majors, and it's all cuts, a WD last year at the PGA and then a T8 this year at the PGA out of nowhere. So it's like once these guys level up, now he's secured his stat. He's like 5th in the FedEx Cup or something, they said. So I mean, he's not going anywhere. He's got status for a while. He's going to be in all the majors, and it's just very interesting now. It's like, okay, well, is the next step there or is it not? Right? Are we going to be Kirk Cousins forever? Are we going to start winning some playoff games, KBV? I don't know. We'll see. Kirk Cousins may have won a playoff game. I haven't watched a football game in fucking 12 years, so who knows? But
I'm trying to think if he won one with the Vikings. I'm sure I'll be fact checked on that by the true knowers out there. But I don't think Kirk Cousins won a playoff game. I think
that's kind of where my head goes too. But I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
The Vikings won one playoff game in his career. It was against the Saints in 2019.
Sure.
Okay.
He's 1-4 in the playoffs.
That's kind of a T8 at Quail Hollow. Right?
See, yeah. Sounds like data's pretty important to the conversation all of a sudden here. Wow, here we go. Yeah. Here we go.
Listen, we don't want you to overdose on the data. That's all we're saying. We'll get
here
to
we go. If you're asking, do I think there's another level to Ben Griffin's game? I'd be very surprised. I think this is like, I'd be very surprised. I'm not saying it's not possible. This is just like, this is a heater. This is a really, really, really good heater, and it's the flavor of the season. But I'd be really surprised if I thought like he had a much higher ceiling than this. To realize this level is like, that's what I'm trying to drive home. This is ridiculous. This is so incredibly unlikely.
Yeah. He's got a lot of variance too. I mean, it still is like it's a lot of peaks and valleys, and I don't know if that's kind of mostly led by the putter. I guess like if he just has kind of off weeks with the putter, ball striking is like really solid. I don't know. It's interesting to see some of these where, a guy feels like he's trending and he's kind of turning into like a really top tier sort of player. And it's like, I missed a cut at the Players, missed a cut at Valspar, missed a cut at CJ Cup. Like it is still pretty up and down. And it's kind of been like that over the last couple of years. So I don't really know what that means or where we're going to head from here, but I'm excited I'm mildly excited to watch. I'll put it that. I'm a mild.
You can't be a great player without being a good player first.
Yeah.
Is he getting to be a good player? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's see what happens from here.
Inarguably. I agree. Anybody else towards the top of that board? Matty Schmid gave it a heck of a run. Another guy that has kind of a strange, interesting career with like a ton of peaks and valleys, a lot of like top tens and a lot of miscuts, kind of on that Scott Stallings program for Matty Schmid. But I can't say I have a ton. I might throw it to my analysts here for some color on Matty Schmid.
No,
I got nothing on Matty.
No, we're good. We're good. No, we're great. Great tournament. It was excellent. It was well done. Only thing I want to say is this is exactly what we do for the Americans. Like when they have a really good result, we like do the Ryder Cup thing all over.
Sure.
And then for a European, a great week that does not move the bar at all.
Like, I'll have a counterpoint to that, but I'm going to wait to save it for the Ryder Cup section.
It's a fluke week.
God, this is like the biggest teases we've ever had.
I know.
Here. Now stick around. Don't turn it off. Don't turn it off.
We'll get to that later in the program.
We're gonna get there. Guys, I got a couple stats. I want to throw at you guys. There's weeks like this where it's like you can be cynical and say this was boring and there's nothing to take away, or you can go a level deeper here, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I want to throw it out. I'm gonna go. Where should I go? I'm trying to pick which order I want to do. Let's go with this one because this guy finished third. I think sometimes we underestimate just how often these guys get up and down. I was thinking about this as I was playing golf this week, and I am just not getting up and down from anywhere. I'm almost just like playing to avoid doubles at this point. It's pretty disappointing, and so I just wanted to float this. Bud Cauley got up and down 22 out of 26 times this week. Missed 26 greens and got it up and down 22 times. That's pretty inconceivable to me as a golfer, and I guess just speaks to the power of missing in the right spots and just making a ton of putts. But just that's one for your back pocket there. Put that away. That's pretty impressive
On
stuff,
firm greens, especially. That's
right?
ridiculously impressive. Yeah.
Do you guys know the tour average for scrambling?
Is it 60% or something?
It's exactly 60%.
Jesus.
Ball no or KVV. Good
How
stuff.
about that?
I also wanted to flag this one. Bud now has gotten up and down from the bunker 16 consecutive times. Not the longest streak on tour, which is our guy Tom Hoagie. Came into the week with the longest streak, had one sand save, missed the cut, called it a week.
It's like protecting the Aon risk reward.
Exactly. I can't play 2 more rounds. I might mess up my sand saves streak. But yeah, just again, just think about that next time you play golf. Imagine hitting it in 16 bunkers and just getting it up and down every time.
I always think of you as a good chipper. Is this just reputation?
Yeah, no, I have
Are
the
you
yips
just showing
now.
the highlights on things.
100% have the yips now. It's awful. Not even yips, just kind of like, well, sort of like kind of a half yip shank sort of situation. Just like as you can picture, my golf swing has just gotten steeper and more shut, and like that is extended to my chipping as well. And I just am dropping the hosel straight on it. It's bad stuff.
I fixed TC's chipping in South Carolina with Mayo stuff. If you'll let me lay hands on you this week, I think we could do it in 8 minutes.
Are you deep in the Mayo methods now?
Yes, 100%.
I tried the Mayo. The Mayo stuff was almost working too well. Once I kind of threw the towel in, and I was like, all right, let me try this stupid Mayo stuff. And the ball was just like going straight up in the air and coming straight. Like it was working too well. So then I was like, oh, well, now I don't have any idea how far it's going to go. And I'm just dumping it in bunkers.
Yeah, I think you should just keep dropping the hosel back on it. Then that sounds like a better approach.
My point is, I don't think I could fix it.
Wait, this game's too easy now. I need to go back to my old method. This is
just not leaning. You got to lean the shaft probably a little bit more. We'll fix. Well, I promise you, we'll fix it. It's remarkably simple.
All right. It looks like he's fixing Area Jutanagard.
Yeah.
Thanks to that video our guy Matt just sent over. Enjoyed seeing that. She didn't look like she was totally aware of or like super excited about being filmed. I don't know if you guys. She was just like, yeah, cool, man. Like I'm just practicing it. He's like
kept calling her
Araya.
He kept calling her Araya. So I think who knows if it was like a hostage video that he kidnapped her and then made her ship.
He might have been outside the ropes. Honestly,
he might not even be helping her. He just was filming her.
Exactly. It's interesting stuff.
That sounds like my guy. Yeah.
But I hope it is. I don't know. It's kind of a golf course where you need those shots. A lot of the like long, closely mown runoffs. I don't know if they're going to firm up after all the rain we've had, but conversation for another day. Guys, I just wanted to float Nick Hardy. Ball struck the shit out of it this week. I believe he was plus 4.2 strokes gained on approach. That is relevant because he entered this week 140th in strokes gained approach. He has missed 11 of 14 cuts this year. He's made like $41,000. And so I think I threw this one in TC's face when he was talking about all the guys that, I called this guy, I invented this guy. I was like, what about Nick Hardy, man? Guy is like absolutely stunk. And I just wanted to flag he had a very nice week and found something with the iron. So I hope
we come up with a team of TC's whiffs that just like we check in on a weekly basis.
Who else? I'm trying to think who else would be on that team.
Obviously Takumi Kanaya.
Kanaya, Predator.
Calvin Ridley, if we can include ball knowers. Can we extend this to like
Adrian Dumont de Choussart? Yeah. There's a lot more. Matthias Schwab was on that list, I think, at one point.
Hoygards, unfortunately, have turned into pretty good players.
We'll make a segment out of this in a future pod.
All right. Yeah, we'll have to get the research team on that one. Guys, I thought this was interesting. Matt Kuchar is a top 25 player this year in strokes gained putting. That kind of blew my mind a little bit, just again, as a guy who has all the course knowledge in the world. This was his 15th year playing at Colonial, and this was by so far the worst he's ever putted. He lost 1.2 strokes per round, which is his worst by almost a full shot at Colonial, which I wanted to say like, oh man, he just was not digging the renovation, not digging the new greens. And last year was actually his best year ever putting at Colonial. So that's just a golf. What a crazy game.
Cooch is still out there doing it.
I'm a little surprised.
47.
Just about to say, how much status does Cooch have? I mean, I assume he was in the 125 last year. I just didn't think
he might just keep showing up and nobody's turning him away.
Oh yeah, Cooch. We know
really? No, I'm supposed to be 948. Like I got here's the text.
Get you in.
Yeah, we'll get you in. Yeah, why don't you play with these guys?
He is top 125 from 2024. That's correct.
Okay.
All right, let me float this one to you guys.
Which is sick, by the way. Well, every year, all these young
Oh, yeah.
guns coming up, and he just keeps
true.
beating them in golf.
It's true. Except for that weird shit
at
with
the
Max
same sport.
Grazerman, whatever.
Yeah,
where he's
listen, that was tough.
Yeah,
that was
of
tough.
course. Aldrich Potgieter led the field in strokes gained, or not strokes gained, in just straight up driving distance this week. How many drives over 350 yards do you guys think he hit this week?
Ooh.
11.
6.
10. He hit 10 drives over 350 yards, including a 392-yard drive today on number 1. That was up the left side. I was trying to picture if there's a cart path that goes up that left side. Guy just like, if you go into his kind of like hole by hole, it's just like so outrageous how far this guy is hitting the golf ball.
He's got a world-class dumper.
He does.
He just like that's how he freaking hits it so far. He's got glutes for days.
And I you know what? This is so stupid, but I was confusing for just a split second. I was confusing him and Garrick Higo today, and I saw a video. I think Titleist posted a video with Potgieter, and I that was the first thing that sprung to mind. I was like, oh my god, like Higo cut the hair, and now like I didn't notice like this guy's just a tank, man. I guess the hair was covering that up. I was like, oh no, wait, those are two different guys. But yeah, anyways, our guy's absolutely just shipping it out there. And I think going forward week to week, I might just look at his sheer just like driving distance, because the hole by hole is truly outrageous stuff.
And it doesn't look like he's going all out at him either.
No, exactly.
Like, it just looks like there's more in the tank. I'm just going to get his. So, I mean, you have the distance, but his ball speed on the 11th hole, yeah, he touched 190. Yeah, easily covered 190 in round 2.
And he's freaking 21 years old. I mean, that's what's fucking bonkers. I mean, yes, Spieth was winning majors at 21, but like that's kind of like there's only upside, I would think, for him.
Do you have this ball speed from round 3 on 11? Because he hit that
does
one
not show it.
4.
Unfortunately, it shows it as 150, which is not correct.
I don't think. Yeah, we'll take the over on that. All right, guys. This was kind of the last one. I saw a tweet from Brandel the other day about Scotty being. No, this is good. This is balanced. You know, I'm a Brandel guy through and
me
through.
too.
I take the W's with the L's. With Brandel. He was talking about how everybody says Rory's the greatest driver in the world, and actually it's Scotty. And I think there's an interesting case to be made for that. And one of the lines in there was like, Scotty has completely taken the right side of the golf course out of play. And there was no elaboration, and I'm sure he talked about it on Live From or something last week.
The left side or the right?
The right side. He's completely taken the right side of the golf course out of play. And I was like, that's interesting, because like it seems like he hits a fade off of every tee, and like I wonder what he means by that. I dug into it. Scotty, out of 56 fairways this week, potential fairways, he hit it in the right rough 3 times this week at Colonial. On average, he hits it in the right rough 9% of the time. That's it, which is down from almost 15% in 2020. He's 3rd on tour in that stat. And it just that like really blew my mind for a guy that like consistently plays a cut off the tee. He just knows his start lines. He knows how far it's going to go. And it's just, again, that's one of those, like, put it in your back pocket. If you see Scotty missing the right rough, like something went wrong. He probably wasn't looking there, you know? And I wanted to throw this one at you guys on the inverse. I think you can get this. Who on the PGA Tour hits it in the left rough the least?
Left rough the least. Wyndham Clark.
That's a really good guess.
It's not Wyndham Clark,
yeah,
but it is a good guess.
You led me there with your. I think you guys can get this. Who hit the poofiest fade?
I still think you can. Don't underestimate how poofy this fade is.
Morikawa.
Yes. Morikawa hits it in the left rough 5.5% of the time. That is nothing. That's crazy.
That is wild.
Small amount.
It's a great stat.
Aaron Rye 6.2% of the time.
I would love to see, and Soly, maybe you could look at this real quick, but like that, even with that though, like, is that enough to say that Scotty's a better driver than Rory? Like, what strokes gained is Scotty picking up as a result of having a more controlled? Like, yes, that's great, but I would still think that Rory probably like gets more advantage from what Rory does than Scotty from what he doesn't do. That makes sense.
So for the last 12 months, they are almost indistinguishable. I mean, Rory is 21 yards above average, but slightly below average with accuracy. Scotty is 4 yards above average, but 7% more accurate than the average player. They are plus 0.93 and plus 0.87 over the last 12 months in strokes gained. So that's a difference that I would say is quite indistinguishable. But the last 6 months, Rory's got him by a little bit more. The gap's a little bit bigger than that, but yeah,
I don't know. I mean, watch the space going forward. I mean, maybe Scotty's wrestling away that crown, but I feel like Rory's earned it over the last 5 years or 10 years.
Well, last 2 years, Scotty barely has him. Like Rory has trended better and better because he just keeps getting longer. Scotty doesn't seem really interested in getting longer, but like Rory just keeps adding distance and nobody ever talks about it. It's ridiculous.
It's very true.
I mean, if Scotty wanted to, it would not be that hard to add much more distance. Like for instance, I 4 times this week I did my own training program. And that training program is called the Stack, and it's all it takes is a quick 15-20 minute warm up in the backyard. You may have seen a little reel we posted this week as well, highlighting some of my favorite stretches and warm ups with it. And then it's 10 to 15 minutes of swinging. I actually had to text Sasha McKenzie, be like, hey, like the app like it's telling me I can do this every 2 days. Is that okay? He's like, yeah, if the app's telling you can do it, you can do it. So I did 4 Stack workouts this week. We're getting back into it. I'm not falling off the train again. Deej, I'm going to use your Stack when we're in Milwaukee.
Please.
I am totally committed to this. I touched my top Stack speed in my workout on Wednesday with 115. I've gotten back to it faster than I possibly could have. On course, it's still catching up a little bit, but it's incredible. It's an awesome, awesome program. You can go to thestacksystem.com/NLU, use code no laying up. You get 10% off any purchase. It's a great app, great training tool. There's a putting aspect to it. There's a wedge aspect to it that's coming as well. It's just an app that is going to make you better at golf, especially if your time is limited. Like almost anybody listening to this podcast, probably like it's a great way if you're getting older to keep the swing feeling a little young, keep the body feeling a little young. And man, once you get through like 2 or 3 of them, you genuinely look forward to it. I cannot say enough great things about it. Thestacksystem.com/NLU, code no laying up for any purchase. You get 10% off any purchase. And if you got some kids that are into baseball, check out the Stack Baseball as well. It'll help your swing speed as well on that. So,
you know,
Kev, I don't think you meant to, but that was a delightful tee up for all of that, Kev.
You know what's funny is looking at the right rough tendency. I pulled that stat back up and scrolling all the way to the bottom. You can see a lot more of those guys that are on TC's all-time list.
They took the left side of the golf course.
Completely took the left side of the golf course out of play. Last on the PGA Tour, this stat, Frankie Sappin. I believe that's a TC guy. 24% of the time he's hitting it in the right rough. Who else? Nick Hardy, 175th in that stat. Your boy Wyndham Clark, 174th. I don't remember if Braden Thornberry was ever fully glossed a TC guy, but he's down there. Chris Ventura was definitely a TC guy, 172nd. Sahith, 169th, tied with Foxy, also 169th. And actually Rory, 167th in that stat. So there you go. Just kind of a fun, weird deep dive during the back nine there. But elsewhere in the Schwab, we mentioned Bud Cauley finishing third. I think first big signs of life for him since the Players, which is always fun to see. TC did call this as Tommy's week. He sent me even private DMs that were like, God, no, I'm serious. Like I'm pushing all my
this
chips
time
in.
I'm serious.
This is the time. Everything is lining up. This is
Put
the
it
time.
on the record. Yeah.
And it looked really good for, or not, looked good for a second and seemed to hit that big tone, dropped in neutral there in the second half of today's round. But Scotty, just like a accidental T4, the ceiling is the roof. Soly on Scotty's game. Anything to take away from him?
Led the field in approach play this week and was 8th off the tee. Like honestly, should have won this one. He did not have a great putting week. And as soon as I pointed out that he was a top 10 putter in the world in 2025, how freaky of a stat that was. He had a backwards putting week, but he tends to his finishes at the Schwab the last 4 years, second, T3, T2, T4. I don't think he has any other events where he's finished doesn't ever finish outside the top 5 and hasn't won it. Like that trend. It's pretty ridiculous. But
what if the Charles Schwab though? What if the Charles Schwab is his Riviera at the Tigers? Like he just can't win it. Like it's sorry, home event. You just can't do it.
I was going to say, I wonder what kind of odds you could get on him winning in 2026, like right now. If I give you
Well,
this much money for him to
Even
win next
odds,
year,
yeah.
will you take this? Yeah.
quick math, like without checking it, like I would bet his winning percentage of signature events in the last 2 years is better than his winning percentage
Probably.
of non-signature events.
Yeah, you're probably
Like
right.
he always gets close and doesn't win Houston, it seems like. I mean, he's won pretty much every signature event dating back to last year. He won the Memorial last year, won the Heritage last year, won the Players, finished second at Houston last year, second at the Schwab last year. Yeah, he won the Travelers too.
He wants the mules to have their moment. Like he's just a
True.
good,
Maybe that's
you
what
know,
it
a
is.
good guy spreading the wealth around. He's just making sure it's a healthy tour.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Wow.
Love reading his press conferences always, and like he was never gonna ever say, you know, I'm taking my foot off the gas this week, but he came as close to that line as I think he's ever going to. It's like, yeah, I mean, listen, am I doing my full routine this week? Not exactly. You know, I'm not sleepwalking. You know, I'm still trying to win the tournament. But like, you could tell this was just, you know, he literally won a major last week, and I'm sure is still coming down from that. And he's sleeping in his own, sleeping in his own bed in Dallas, and like, I'm sure this was kind of a show up and stretch a little, and we'll roll the balls out and see what happens. And still, like, again, almost kind of accidentally got a W. I think they play another
Mayor,
8 holes of this tournament, and he probably wins.
Probably.
hey Mayor, you want to stay up and watch a few more episodes of The Office? Because it's not really a signature event. I'm kind of
I
on
can
good
do
terms.
one more. I can do one
I
more.
can go and like
I think he went
show
to
up an hour late. It's
went to
fine.
the Stars game. I
Yeah.
think he's hanging out, man. It's great.
Hannah did point out, he's like, man, it's wild that he's doing all this while, while having a newborn at home and a young baby at home. And then she kind of sat with it. She's just like, I bet he's not doing the night duties.
Oh,
He honestly might be though. Like that's what's
He
crazy
probably
about
would be.
Scotty. Probably
he's not doing the
is.
stack either, though. So it kind of evens out. So like,
That's true. Aldrich Potgieter T6, Harry Hall T6. I'm just gonna throw this one out there.
Can we pause on the Tommy thing real quick? Just because what happened on 18, I still am very, very, very confused by. He hits a putt and it takes 27 seconds for it to fall in, as the clip that was posted everywhere showed. And it fell in, and they did not assess him a penalty. Now the rule says you are allowed a reasonable amount of time to get to the ball plus 10 seconds, and he like takes an unreasonable amount of time, if you ask me, to get to
he
the
had to go
ball.
around Matty Schmidt. There, Schmidt was
But it was
blocking
like,
him. Delaying his
my
progress.
point is, technically, yes, he did not get up to the hole. My point would be, what if that was not an unreasonable route to the hole, if that was not one, why would anybody ever approach the hole if your ball is on the lip? Like, just walk away. Just walk away. You can wait 2 minutes if that's the interpretation of the rule. Like, we've seen it many times over the last several years where they do this and then they later assess the penalty. I guess the rules had it timed at 8 seconds instead of 10 because that's when he got to the hole. But that's a dangerous interpretation of that ruling, I would say. Because
I felt silly, Sully, because my parents are in town. They were watching with me, and I was like, "That's not going to count." Sully's and filled me in on this. I know that is not going to count. And they were like, "Oh, are you sure? It seems like it's counting." I was like, "Nope, just wait. The penalty is coming." My guy Sully would not let me down on this.
Well, they never cover it on TV when it happens. It didn't happen with Michael Kim at Bay
Yeah.
Hill or something. Like they just like went away, and I was like, "Hey, it's gonna be a penalty," and everybody yelled at me, and then it was one, and nobody said anything. But it happened with Siwoo Kim at RBC. That's where I learned the rule. Like where
You
this
got
happened.
it right at the PGA during the ESPN simulcast.
Yeah,
you
that's
took a big risk going out there and be like, "Nope, it's not going to count. It's not going to count." You giraffed
Giraffe.
it. You absolutely giraffed it on a national broadcast, Sully. I will never not be proud of you for that.
Thank you. Because good for Tommy. I mean, yeah, I'm not like upset that Scotty got ripped out of a few more dollars. I think he's going to be fine. But yeah, that was a bizarre interpretation of that rule.
Yeah, I think I was deep into researching left rough tendency at that point, but I'm glad you
You're
guys
doing
were on
something
it.
better with your time.
Glad you
We're
guys
just
were all
nervous,
over it.
dude.
I just want to flag Harry Hall. This is a no offense to anyone. I clicked in there just to kind of learn a little bit more about his week and his stats and what was going on. And I'm just gonna call like the newsboy kind of Hogan cap down into the right chest Hard Rock logo, over to the left chest Allegiant Airlines logo. That's a pretty unholy trinity that our guys got going on. That's kind of a TC like worst nightmare there. So I had never noticed that before. Just calling that out. Ryo Hisatsune, T6, one of the hottest players in the world. Ryder Cupper JJ Spawn, T6, and Ryder Cupper Bob McIntyre, T6. I think that's gonna probably just about do it for your Colonial recap, unless you guys got got too much else going on.
Shots fired at Andrew Novak finishing T11, huh? Wow.
Well, I figure we get to that in our Ryder Cup conversation.
Okay. I just had a couple of Ryder Cup watches. Novak T11, Akshay T22, Spieth and JT Poston were T36.
Poston is off the team now, unfortunately.
For sure. He's gone.
I'm glad Spieth solidified his guaranteed position by just grinding out a made cut there and finishing.
That's wild. Who guaranteed him a spot?
I don't know. It's rumors floating around.
Do you get your news from Reddit, Kevin? Because I think we might need to test you put your journalism skills to the test here.
Get
today.
to that too. No, I listened to the pod. I went deep in on it after seeing some of the comments on Reddit.
Spieth continues to drive the shit out of the ball. I will just throw up that flare as well. It's getting really, really good. So hopefully the iron play.
I'm a Spieth guy. I'm a Spieth guy. I just want some standards. I want everyone to be held to the same standard here.
Soly, where else? Where do you want to go next?
One question we got from Go LF State: how does the tour give tournaments the week after majors more juice? I would say, like, does it need more juice? Like, we can't.
There's only so much juice, right?
There has to be ebbs and flows to the season. I feel like we do this after every like smaller event now. Is like, how do we fix this? And it's just like, man, I'm fine with some ebbs and flows to the season. If
totally
there needs to be weeks where you are dedicating like all of your energy to a tour event as a sports fan, and some where you can't be doing like all 4 days of energy. I actually weirdly watched a lot of it this week, just how it lined up with my schedule. But I don't think this needs fixed. I think it's really, really hard to get a good spot on the calendar and not be a signature event currently. And I don't have a fix for this other than like the tour is going to keep playing every week. Like that's what they're mandated to do. There's going to be bigger events and there's smaller ones. I just appreciate that they're like telling you what the bigger events are and telling you what the smaller events are. And I don't think this necessarily needs fixing.
I honestly kind of would like to see fewer signature events right after majors. I know the RBC is always going to sort of slot right into Masters just because that's where it sort of lines up. But I don't really like that when it's like, oh, and we got to get up again. Like, let's do it one more time, boys. Like, I don't know. I know that's how Davis Love always like felt that his game was trending right, and down there, but his mentals were still in a blender from Augusta, so he'd always play well like the week after the Masters. But man, I just don't want to waste a lot of energy and getting hyped up after. That should be a natural come down.
And it'll be the same thing at Travelers too, with that the week after the U.S. Open. So it's kind of it feels like they're trying to almost, I don't know, they're trying to have a mix, it seems like, because obviously a lot of guys like playing the week before a major, some guys don't. So there's like having the Memorial back in its normal spot, rather than it was in that first week of June, I think last year, wasn't it? And having that kind of with a gap between, so it's not going Memorial straight into the U.S. Open feels like a good thing. It's just there's so many puzzle pieces to try to fit in there, man. It's pretty unenviable job. But
a question we got from McTrees02 from today forward: who has the most PGA Tour wins? Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth, Tommy Fleetwood.
Oh God, I hate this question.
That's why this is an amazing question. It stumped me really, really, really good.
I would go Spieth. Spieth's got he's got a long career. I mean, there's no scenario which I think Jordan Spieth doesn't win more PGA Tour events. Many, I don't know. He could win 2 more, and that wouldn't surprise me. But I still kind of feel like Tommy's got to prove that he can do 1, because it just might never happen. Tommy might be the Colin Montgomery of his generation, where he's just not going to win a PGA Tour event. And Ricky, I don't know. I mean, Ricky could pick off one of the lesser events, but I don't have any more confidence that Ricky's going to do it than Jordan is going to do it. Yeah. Jordan at least probably get to play in more of the events from sponsor exemptions and whatnot.
Yeah, Ricky shouldn't be in the question, I think.
I think that's right. How old is Ricky?
I think Tommy's going to win a PGA Tour. I do not think he's going to go his whole career without one, but I think the answer is Spieth. Like, that's the safest answer by far.
It is. I know.
It's a freaky question, though.
It is a very freaky question.
That could like put me back a little bit. It was like, oh shit.
That's a real perv question right there. I don't really want to be weighing in on this.
I have to move that to perv corner.
Exactly.
Isolate all the perverted shit in one space. back of a video store in the 90s,
Exactly. Heavy black curtain in front of these types of questions. I'll say Spieth. That doesn't feel. My heart wants to say Fleetwood just out of just for fun, but I think it's Spieth.
Scotty was asked about a question earlier in the presser this week. Said, on behalf of golf fans everywhere, do you have any idea where the tours are in terms of potentially merging so you guys might get a chance to play together more often? I freaking loved Scotty's answer. He was just not down to play ball. Just said, I mean, I don't really know. That's for the higher ups to decide. I've said it a few times this year. If you want to figure out what's going to happen in the game of golf, go to the other tour and ask those guys. I'm still here playing the PGA Tour. We had a tour where we all play together, and the guys that left, it's their responsibility, I think, to bring the tours back together. Go see where they're playing this week and ask them. Just like,
Really
I'm
good
done with your
kicker at the end of
bullshit.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said this. He's given this soundbite quite a few times now. I
But
feel
it
like.
keeps
And
getting a little bit
little bit
bitchier
more
in the
barbed,
best way.
yeah.
In the best way of like, dude, fuck
Go
you.
see where they're playing this week and ask them. Is a little bit pointed in the best Scotty way. Yeah.
That is. And I think Scotty has I mean, I kind of, they're very weirdly different answers, but even going back to like the driver stuff with him after, winning at Quail Hollow and talking about that stuff, he's got a very good ability to just be extremely straightforward. He doesn't like duck stuff and dodge stuff. Occasionally he'll give cliches about, yeah, I'm just, I like them all and I'm just trying to win or, whatever. But he kind of just like is pretty direct with a lot of these answers. And I don't know. Again, I keep shouting out his press conferences and how there's always more there than you think. And it's another good example.
Totally. I think the greatest example of all time of that, we didn't really talk much about it last week, is like when I asked him about being in jail, he was like, yeah, let me tell you about every single thing that happened in jail. Like I did my routine, like I was watching shit, I was talking to these guys and being like, are you a golfer? Yeah, man, I'm actually a golfer. Like he went into detail over it. I thought that was so great. It's so rare for an athlete who's like in the midst of a controversy to be like, well, let me just like take you through everything I went through the whole day. Like he's good at answering questions. I beg golf media, just ask him good questions.
And I wonder if, I'm trying to think, like I'm putting you guys on the spot here, but has he had quotes? He hasn't really had any quotes like blow up in his face, I don't think. And I don't know if some of that is just he's pretty direct and pretty honest, but never like controversial. He just kind of it seems like he just kind of, gives you the plain, truthful answer on a lot of this stuff. And I don't know if maybe he just doesn't seem gun shy, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And I'm trying to think of why that is. And maybe it's because nothing's really blown up. But I mean, we talk about Rory, who
he shoots hard and doesn't get it to blow up. Is like, yeah, maybe he's got some interesting things to say.
The only thing I'll say is he got a little defensive during the putting stuff when he was
that's
like
true.
switching putting, and he was like,
what
I
do
don't
you
really
mean?
want to talk
No
about
problem.
this anymore.
No problem here.
Yeah.
I'm not a bad putter. I don't I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Don't you fucking write that I'm mad.
You fucking motherfuckers. I'll kill you all. That kind of, I love his like laughter of like, hey, I'm just checking, but I fuck you, man.
That was like evil, man.
That's true.
It turned into Chucky there a little bit.
Just watch next time he like gets a little annoyed and then he diffuses the tension immediately with like a little laugh. It's one of my favorite Scheffler like sort of, I guess, idioms or whatever, quips or whatever that he does.
Lastly, Rory Skippin Memorial. He's playing RBC, which obviously he was not going to go 4 in a row. What are we doing here? This is the guy that was like leading the charge for all these signature events. I believe he's skipping 3 of them so far this year, playing 5 of the 8. Is this still in line with Rory's weird protest that I don't really still nobody's protesting at this point? Is this fair game? What do you guys think about this?
Well, he likes Canada. I think he, is probably it's good for the tour that he's going to Canada, right? That it's like an event that they want to have, and he's continued to play well there. So I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses for him. I just think that the landscape is different than it was after Delaware, where it was like, okay, like we got to do everything we can to like hold the shit together. So please, like everybody commit to like, doing this all, and we all have to go to these things. And now it's kind of different. He's like, whatever. Like I don't need to be the person who solves this shit anymore. So you guys figure it out and I'll do what I want. My legacy is kind of secure at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I think the tour would probably rather have him at Memorial, just bigger swing and bigger tournament and all the, Jack's tournament and trying to make those as big and cool as they can be. He's kind of one of the few guys that has that power in his hands to be able to affect the broadcast, I would say. But yeah, I'm with you that like once, he kind of got turned into a bullet sponge for all of the like press conferences and then, had a bunch of stuff kind of go down behind his back and now we're merging and now we're doing this and now now we're not. And like I wouldn't blame him certainly for just throwing his hands up in the air and saying, I've won the Masters, I won the Players, I won Pebble. I'm kind of, things are going I'm cooking right now, and I think I'm just going to do whatever I want. Feels like a pretty fair takeaway from some of this too.
I think the most optimistic lens is like, what am I going to do that's going to be the best chance of
Yeah,
winning the U.S. Open?
totally.
And his answer is probably play the week before at the Canadian Open.
Yeah.
Was it before? Was it last year that the Memorial was actually before the U.S. Open? The
Yeah.
week before it was.
I think so.
So yeah, maybe if that. I mean, he played. This is the first time he's missed since 2017. I think
Yeah, I
at
think
Memorial.
he's played like 13 times or something like that.
Yeah.
He's never won,
So
but you talk about Riviera. That's kind of his
yeah.
version of that. Played really well there. Seems like the golf course would fit him, and he's just never quite gotten it done.
Yeah.
I always think when you look at the totality of Rory, it's like sometimes when he does something and people are like, man, like what? Well, you are the one who should be doing this the most. But then if you look at the whole body of his work, it's like, dude, like if anybody deserves the benefit of the doubt, it's probably him in some ways. Like that's how I feel a little bit about the skipping media. Did I like it? No. But like, has anybody done as much kind of open media as Rory over the last 10 years? Like probably not. So like, I guess I'll kind of give you a pass, even though in the end, I feel like you have a greater burden on you and should be the one who sets the example anyway. It's fine if I look at the totality of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I see it at least a little bit from where he's coming from of like, dude, he was pushing for like, these are not skippable. And that did not get pushed through. And I think he was probably a little bit bitter about that of like, okay, well, if that's the case, then I'm not going to be dedicated to playing all of these things. And so it is, yeah, we also got asked the question, like, does this, from Sir James Niner, should signature events be scrapped? The whole idea seems to be diminished with Rory and Scotty missing events.
I don't know if I'd go that far and like throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like I still
That's
think
where
it's
I'm
a
at.
better system than what it was. I think it's interesting. Like if you're the tour and you can't get guys to show up to limited field $20 million events with a $4 million like winner's prize, that seems like a bigger problem to me. Like I still think on the whole, like the fans are still getting a better product by having these things, be elevated in the way that they are. But it doesn't look good, and it just is, again, everything just feels so fucking duct taped together, and it, as we've said a trillion times, and we don't need to go into it again tonight, is like as soon as it became like, no, just wait till 2023, man, everything's gonna be totally different. No, well, just wait till 25. Well, just wait till 27 is gonna be. You're not even gonna believe it. It's gonna be so different. And now I'm just like, cool,
New
like
TV
just wake
deal,
me up
maybe.
when we're there, man. Fuck this. Like, who cares? And it's kind of like if the Memorial's a little better than it was before, then great. If Travelers is better than it was before, great. The Heritage, etc. It's like I think all of those events have you know, leveled up significantly because of this. And I don't think, to our whole point about Colonial not really needing more juice or, even Byron Nelson, like Scotty winning that, like, I don't think those kind of in between events have necessarily like been put on a death sentence either. So it's like, I think we're still on the whole much better than where we're at. But to the question asker's point, like, yeah, it's not great, but I wouldn't say anything really is right now.
I'll forgive Rory if he calls Soly's family personally and apologizes for not showing up for Soly's home event. So,
Yeah, it's killing.
All it will
I'm
take.
sure
think about it.
it's killing the real estate value of everybody around there. His one visit a year. So, well, before we get into the back nine here, this podcast is brought to you by our friends at Whoop. The new Whoop is here. That's right. The new Whoop 5.0 is here with tons of new features to include a 14-plus day battery life that makes 2 Whoop options for you and 3 different members categories to choose from. Been wearing Whoop for several years now. Love it. Guys, I got to tell you, I've been remarkably responsible at getting to bed on time. Like I'm routinely in bed in the early 9 o'clock phase. Like I am doing my absolute best to make sure I'm in green recovery. I'm up at 5:55 every morning with the babies, if not earlier. So if I get to bed early, it's smacking me in the face with it. Like, yeah, you might be up a couple times with the babies. That's fine. You're still getting your coverage. You're getting your 7.5 hours. You're getting your 8 hours. You're catching up on your debt. It's all great information and makes me make better decisions. And it helps me hit my health goals, whether that's sleep, recovery, or fitness related, all year long. You can go to join.whoop.com/NLU to get started with Whoop on a free 1-month trial that includes the hardware and a completely unlocked app experience. If you don't love it, send it back. No questions asked. There's no risk in this transaction. And if you haven't already, join our Whoop group, code COMM, COMM -NLU. That's COMM -NLU NLU. On to the back nine. First hole in the back nine, number 10. Where has KVV been? Where have you been, man? You've been out to pasture. Did you get canceled? Did you get silenced? What happened?
All that. Yeah. I've been in a lab with a pen and a pad trying to get these narrative pods off. Yeah, I've been getting a couple emails being like, Kev, what the fuck? Like, are you still employed by NLU? Like, what's going on? There's a whole Reddit thread about like, where's KVV? Which I enjoyed. I listed some of the things that were listed on here that he must be. This is some some guesses of what's up to. Is he putting together an extensive Excel spreadsheet of Phil's history of gambling debts? Presumably after Phil said that Scotty would not win before the Ryder Cup. I think that would take a long time, and I don't do Excel very well, so no, that is not it. The number 2 entry was an investigation into whether the TGL results are fake. They're faked in a green screen, which, yeah, why not? And Patrick Cantlay knows ahead of time. That's why he never throws the hammer. So that was clever. Maybe
if the
Gary
results
Player
are fake in my team,
is that bad?
The Jupiter Lynx is that bad with Tiger on it, then I'm going to be really upset.
Yeah. Maybe Gary Player was putting me through a grueling training camp. He wouldn't let me leave until I could do 1,000 push-ups a day. Maybe, that's I can't confirm or deny that one.
It's like
or maybe I was undercover into Live Golf, traveling around with them, which someone pointed out I would stand out like a sore thumb because I would be the only non-player who's always there traveling.
I feel like that could still work. There's no way everybody knows who all those players are.
Yeah, that's true. Alex Podgeter was 47 years old and grew a big beard. He might look physically like me. You never know. All right.
Is that Aldrich's evil twin brother?
Yeah. The one I threw in there was maybe I was in witness protection after the Nicholas family put out a hit on me for revealing Barbara's prairie dog murder chronicles in the 2000 Major Pod. I've gotten more prairie dog comments from people than just about anything I've ever done in LU. So one comment said that I seemed kind of despondent lately. I don't even know how you would come up with that if I hadn't been on any pods. Like, is this just like a reading of my Twitter account? I think everybody's despondent on the Everything app these days. So I don't know. In actuality, I've been working on a couple narrative pods that are coming out in the next few months, both of them related to public golf, our public golf series, which I'm excited about. DG got to see the script in one of them recently and stuff. So we'll keep grinding away at those. I'm sure you can guess that one of those are if you're following our socials closely. When I was in St. Louis during the PGA Championship, visiting some friends for a good pod there. Got to play some cool shit there. Glen Echo Country Club. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. Very cool place. Hosted the Olympics back when St. Louis had the Olympics. It's one of the only few golf courses in the country that can say that they held the Olympics.
That's like 1904 or 1908 or something.
It was, I believe, neither that or 10. I don't remember exactly, but somewhere in the early turn of the century. It was a lovely afternoon.
That's kind of a fun, like, it's just long enough. Technology was just bad enough that you could see whatever the medal score, was it that day. Be like, I wonder if I could go out and like earn a bronze medal today.
Yeah.
Shout
out to my guy Steve, who was our host for the day and was awesome dude. All right, so I've been getting a ton of, just speaking of our narrative stuff, we get a ton of like signal boosts from people being like, oh, please, Mr. KVV, come solve my bot problem. The San Diego folks are reaching out. They're desperate for me to take on their bot issues. And look, I want to, but I'm only one man. All right. I want you to out there, if you're listening, to treat this like you're the part of the rebellion in Andor. I need you to like join the cause and take the fight to your galaxy. I can only support you in so many places. So I hear you. I want to come and solve your bot issues like I did with Bethpage, frankly. LA, we were just kind of piggybacking off the work of others, but I don't know if there's just so many hours in the day. I can't tell DJ I'm going to do like 50 narrative pods and they're all going to be bot related. I think that would get a little old pretty quick. We're still trying to tell stories here, right, DJ?
Yeah, I would say KVV is not like a computer hacker. He's not going in and like fixing the system himself. He's just, making some phone calls, putting some pressure. Call your elected officials, man.
Exactly.
Also, a lot of people were doing shit on the Bethpage front before you got there. That was kind of the story. Was like,
that's true.
Here's what's going on here.
Yeah, we're fighting the good fight. I will say there was some people
easy to just not do anything because it's just nice at the time, and you could like either go fight City Hall or you could just go have like great tacos or the Padres game or go ahead. Like it's I get that. That's understandable.
Somebody sent me an example that in Wisconsin, like up in Lausanne or whatever, that they were adding you have to pay $5 ahead of time. So I feel like the Bethpage stuff is like spreading slowly. We'll not get the credit that we might deserve for these things, but it's the good is being put out into the universe, right? So
That's right.
join the rebellion. I'm also doing the 100-hole hike coming up for the there's part of the National Links Trust. That's why I walked 27 holes in my Hyperflex yesterday, and I'm in like last minute panic, get in shape plan. So related to that, please donate. I've pinned the thing on my my X profile. This is meant to raise money for the National Links Trust. So I got kind of like bullied into this by Randy, who just like volunteered me without even a heads up, and the National Links Trust people were like, "Yeah, you're doing this right." But I did bring up an interesting point that I wanted to bring up in our Slack this week. I mentioned there was a bunch of people who reached out to me and said, I'd love to caddy for you during the 100-hole hike. Can I please, walk along with you? I'd love to carry your bag. And I sort of mentioned this, and TC and Casey and Cody all made it clear that it would be a disgrace if I used caddies during the 100-hole hike, that having someone carry my bag was just disgusting, almost as bad as riding a cart. TC said he hadn't been so disappointed in me. I think he'd be more disappointed be using caddies than if I played the whole thing in a big letter hat. Casey said, I thought the whole point was to get in shape. So I think she must have envisioned that I was like going to be doing like CrossFit runs between the holes with like a 50-pound vest on my bag. And then Randy threw everyone into a blender by admitting that he had used caddies during his 100-hole hike. And TC said he felt like everything he ever believed about Randy was a lie as a result of it. So I turn to the jury here, guys. What say you? Would you use caddies during your 100-hole hike? Does it invalidate the exercise if you do?
I feels like wandering. This is going to be the opposite of one of Scotty's answers in a press conference here, because I feel like this feels like wandering into a courthouse and just really riding the line
Check
of
my
perjury
record
here. And yeah, exactly. I don't want to say anything that's going to end up with me doing a 100-hole hike. Is what I'm getting at. In my head, the goal is walk and carry. Neil walked and carried. He's got the sweaty ass t-shirts to prove it. He did that down at Sweetens Cove. We made a video about it. So that's what's always been in my head.
12 years older and like 60 pounds heavier than Neil.
Sure.
To be clear.
Sure. But I don't know. It's your journey. I mean, I think like
it is.
I think meeting in the middle and doing a full-size golf course is essential. I don't want to throw any shade. I've never done this. I have no plans to do this.
Okay.
But there is TC's all fired up. He's been sending me all these emails. He's like, look at all these par 3 courses that they're hosting these 100-hole hikes at. There's so many people doing it at par 3 course. They're doing it at the Hay. They're doing it. I'm like, man, yeah, that's fuck. We do need to listen. We do need to raise the money. That's great. We need to get people out here doing it and raising the money. Maybe that casts a wider net. But also the point is, I think like a full golf course and carrying your bag, and it's a tough one. So what say you?
I don't have a strong feeling either way. I think
it's always leaving two spots on this TBD.
I think from where you're at, if you're just played 27 walking, I think that's the extent of your training. If I'm correct on that,
that's just part of the training. I've been walking all the time. I've been like
the Hal Higdon. What is it? Hal
I was going to say like
program.
Considering it doesn't seem like you've put a ton of training into this. Listen,
no.
I'm not
thank
judging.
you for the sly comments on my physique, but thank you. Yeah,
I just have not heard updates from you. Like I'm training my ass off.
Hey guys, I'll be out this way. I'm training this afternoon.
In your own words, you said you were 60 pounds heavier than Neil. I didn't say that, but I'd say considering that. It's like not out of bounds to consider using a caddy. I think if you, I agree with the sentiment though, that of like, I thought the whole point was to work up to build to be able to do this all on your own, which again, I'm not signing up for that. Like I do not, it would take months and months and months of physical exertion for me to feel like I got my body into shape to be able to do that. So I'm not judging from that perspective.
How far would it be? It'd be like what?
It's like 30 miles.
6 miles probably at least.
It's like 30 miles at least.
Plus bending down. I mean, it's a lot.
Well, Neil had a lot of hacks where he was just. I don't even think he was.
He would not tee up the ball. He would just hit 3-wood.
Exactly. No teeing up the ball. You could probably get one of those little plungers for your.
What if someone teed the ball up for me? Here's one hack that worse.
That just feels like a slippery slope, man. Yeah, you got all these blood boys coming in trying to give you an advantage. An advantage.
What a lovely day. What a lovely day. Well, I was thinking one thing hack that I thought was like, could I have one of those electric carts that like walks with you so that, there wasn't someone else wasn't carrying my bag, but
that's interesting.
That was a sort of a cheat code that I thought. I don't know. Well, listen, our friend Lane has said that he would like to be able to donate via wager of what hole I'm forced to quit on. And then Michael Kim, PGA Tour golfer, said he would donate $100 for every shank that I hit as long as they were not on purpose. So I'm gonna have to keep track of those during the round as well.
Those are good. When is this?
June 9th, week of the US Open.
Okay, it's coming up. Well, listen, keep us
Yeah.
posted. This is, I think, if you're out there in the, I don't know if people have opinions on social media or not, but we could try and see if maybe anybody wants
Yeah.
to weigh in on this.
Listen, I maybe me being something of a lightning rod in general would help the derive the donations. So hopefully that will, my haters and my supporters will get out there and throw some money behind this, a good cause, because I'd like to see the National Links Trust courses live to sort of become what they should be. I play Langston a lot. The 100 hike will actually be at East Potomac, but Langston is sort of my favorite of the courses over there.
So here's where I'm kind of talking myself in circles on this. Is a lot of people will just do it with like 3 clubs, right? Like you
Yeah.
have 3 clubs and a little tiny, like not even a Sunday bag, even smaller than that.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, well, that's not all that different than just not carrying your clubs, right? Like that's
True.
pretty easy. So then I'm like, well, is that really, does it have to be a full bag? I don't think so. So then, yeah, I don't know. It's much to think about here, KBB.
We're going to start with like 10 clubs, maybe 9 clubs.
Yeah.
Titleist hooked me up with a nice little Sunday bag that I'm going to go with. So we'll start there and just sort of see what happens.
The hard part about the Sunday bag is you just got to bend down and pick it up each time.
I know.
And you don't want to fuck with like the trestle sticks and getting those all.
Oh, fuck that. No.
Sorted.
Trestle sticks are
It's
the
like,
dumbest thing ever.
I mean, free shout out to Titleist here, but I have the Players Carbon 4, I believe. And it's like as light as a Sunday bag. It's awesome, but it's got.
I have that too. So I'm kind of in between. I might start with like the Sunday bag, and then the bending down would resort to. All right. Well, there'll be several changes throughout. Neil said he would like basically just drop clubs as you go, like someone like in war, like falling pieces of his armor. They're just weighing him down as he's trying to,
I feel like
fight the good
I
fight.
could get down with not a caddy necessarily, but somebody who's there to just like hold your Sunday bag up. Like a human trestle stick. Somebody who's there to just like, here, I'm not bending over to pick this up each time, but I think that feels inbound.
Well, be sure to leave some comments on the Everything app, letting us know what you think I should do. Number 4 on our list, the back 9 here. Mark Dull made a solo run at the USGA Four-Ball after his partner had to bail in his daughter's graduation. Won one of his matches, ended up losing on the 18, I think, of the other one. Nothing to really add about this, just like that was freaking badass. I did one of my favorite Twitter comments was, man, graduations come and go. What a terrible partner he had. I'm stuck around for that.
It was
round
of 16 that Chip Rook. So both these guys are from Florida. I've played a lot of mid-am events with them and got to know both them decently well. And these guys are unbelievable at golf. I think this is their 7th straight Four-Ball that they've been exempt for. Like they've made, I don't know if they've made the finals, semifinals. They've been remarkably close to winning this thing. And they both play in the Gasparilla usually every year. Chip won it a few years ago, and I just saw this coming across my timeline of like, this guy's leaving. I follow Chip on Instagram. Like he's a friend of mine. And like, I've watched his daughter grow up and it's like, oh shit, his daughter's Oh, it's Chip that's leaving. He's leaving in the middle of the Four-Ball. Like how did they game plan for this? And Mark goes on to win that match after Chip leaves and then has to play the quarterfinal match entirely on his own. And lost to a birdie on 18. Like he almost won the match completely on his own. And it's just a badass story. I think he shot several under par on his own ball. And Carson Looney and Hunter Powell beat them 1-up with a birdie on the 18th hole.
That's my dream for you and TC someday, Soly. You have to miss it. TC just makes, as a dog, it just plays his way through. And you're watching from Sophie's graduation on your phone, tears in your eyes. TC birdie's the last to get you guys through to the next round. That's the dream.
That's so wild. I can't imagine being the guys like the 2 in the 2-on-1.
That'd be so much
because at first it's just like that's so funny, man.
On.
How tight at the turn. Oh, let's see. And it's like as soon as you get to like 15, 6, it's like, well, fuck, man, we can't lose. Come on, like make this. Let's go. It's right edge, man.
About
Good
this
speed
story.
Here.
Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. What a story. I wonder, can you sign up for the Four-Ball by yourself?
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can.
I mean, I guess
but that is interesting that you aren't DQ'd if you just drop out.
Yeah.
What you let you play after. It'd
be kind of a good bet. If you lose, you have to play a Four-Ball event by yourself.
It's like a good storyline for that Owen Wilson show.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that's about That's about the pro golf, but that would be a good like. Oh man, my partner's hungover. I got to win this match myself.
Guys, I've made several of my 4-ball partners play this event by themselves, so it's not a laughing
Your whole
matter.
parts.
All right, and item number 5, guys. DG actually put this one in here, but I am giddy for this one. We want to leave some space here for some Ryder Cup rebuttal.
I put this in here.
Yeah, excuse me. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. Soly.
First mistake you've made. There you go. Let's go.
Okay, let's get right. Let's do it.
I'm reeling for what his position is that he's just like, hey, you guys got any ideas? Why don't you guys?
Man, I am in a
let's
blender.
go.
I'm in a blender about what exactly is your position and who should be on the thing. Here's I sent the pod to a friend of mine, and this is the sort of summary of your position. It's all about the data, but the data doesn't matter, and intangibles do. And we're trying to find the right guys, but I'm not sure we're looking for someone who isn't in the top 12 already. And the recent data golf rankings, so he can't be considered. But we do need to think outside the box and change our process. But we couldn't possibly choose JT Poston because people would judge us. We just need to trust our process, but we don't really have a process. So I guess we'll just go with like what our gut in the boys club. So like,
Who's this friend? Who's this friend, by the way?
This was Grok.
Yes, I said Grok to summarize your positions. Listen, admittedly, you know that I am mostly on your side when it comes to this stuff. I'm mostly an American supporter, but as a journalist, I cannot let you continue to say things like you did in the pod. Keegan cost them the Ryder Cup at Medina. I feel like overall your position would be so much stronger if you just admitted that you do not like Keegan in any capacity. That would solve a lot for this stuff if you just like come out and be like, yo, I don't support Keegan one way or another. Like as a captain, as a player, as a person, whatever. Keegan did not cost them the fucking Ryder Cup at Medina. All right.
The number one. This is like 15 issues here that we're throwing all into the blender.
I said I was in a blender. The number one player in the world showed up 10 minutes before his heat time, yes, and beat him on the 17th hole, 2-1. But then a whole other bunch of shit happened for the Americans to lose that Ryder Cup.
Just pause it, because you've already lost the plot. You've already lost the point of this, which was like that Keegan gets backup quarterback treatment, and the point was like he's not like this Ryder Cup hero. And listen, do I wish I chose my word?
Why we got this Ben Griffin guy out there? This guy, Keegan. You see Keegan's arm?
Do I wish I used a different word so people wouldn't hone in and lose track of the overall point here? Yeah. Do I blame Keegan Bradley for the 2012 Ryder Cup? No, I do not. That would be the grossest
years
possible interpretation of what I said. It is so unserious. Like, yes, I my point was that if he wins that match, they win the Ryder Cup. So like that match
your boy Furyk doesn't birdie the bogey the last 2 holes against Sergio, then they win the Ryder Cup as well there.
But again, you're missing the overall point, which is that he's not some crazy Ryder Cup hero. Again, if he shows up and wins a singles match, they win that Ryder Cup. Yeah, there's way worse stuff that happened in that Ryder Cup too. Now, if you want to point to one where it did really matter, go to the next Ryder Cup where he was the losing point to Jamie Donaldson.
This shit. I'm just tired of hearing Jamie Donaldson's name come up all the time with you in this, because you hold that match up like it's some big fucking thing and then give JT and Spieth a huge pass for shit that has happened more recently than when Jamie Donaldson happened to beat Keegan when Tom Watson was the freaking captain of that thing. I'm telling you, you keep holding that match up like, well, he lost to Jamie Donaldson, but yet totally give JT and Spieth a pass and put them on the team regardless, despite the fact the huge egg that they laid in Rome, which was way more recently than that Jamie Donaldson shit. Like, you have to hold them to the same standard. You can't just be like, well, Keegan's not a Ryder Cup hero, but like JT and Spieth kind of are, and that's why they kind of deserve a spot on this team. Like, Keegan is playing better than Jordan Spieth right now. You should absolutely be saying, you know what? Like, if I'm going to take the best dude and someone who has actual good success in a Ryder Cup, that's Keegan in your eyes. I think you're right. He shouldn't take himself because he's the freaking captain. That is a very fair point. He needs.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
I find it maddening that you keep shifting the
I'm
goal.
not shifting it.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
KBB coming in and shoot first, aim later here with it.
Exactly.
Drove a car through the front
a lot
of
of takes that I had to get off.
That is such a genius opening, because I truly have no idea where to go with how many bullets you just fired up into the air of that.
I'm saying stop shit. Listen, it's a win-win for you, because if US wins the Ryder Cup,
can I just say what I want to say, or no? Like, you're just putting words in my mouth.
Team doesn't matter. Keegan didn't matter, and if they lose, you're gonna be like, well, fucking Keegan, man. Like, he didn't.
That's so not true. I've said I'm in on the Keegan captaincy. Like, you're not even.
You've said it. I can't. 65%
of what you just said is not what I've said at all. Like that is you're on the offensive with just bullshit.
You literally brought up Jamie Donaldson in this podcast as if that's relevant to any of it.
Trigger
It's not,
warning.
but
Jamie
again,
Donaldson.
Keegan gets painted as this like the Ryder Cup guy. He's like, you have to have Keegan in the Ryder Cup. Remember what he did back then?
I don't know who's painting this painting.
Literally,
is it
don't
George W.
you
Bush?
forget
Like,
about.
what?
You did this in 2023. Like, remember what he did in Medina? Like, that was 11 years prior to this. The whole point, he gets remembered. No, let me do it. He gets remembered as a Ryder Cup, like the energy guy, everything they ever needed. And it was 13 and 11 years ago that he played in 2 of these, and his record was 4-3. So my whole point is like that memory of him being this savior in that time frame wasn't even accurate. Does it matter? No, it doesn't also matter, but it's also not accurate to have pretended like he was some Ryder Cup hero in this time period. Went away for 11 years. Now all of a sudden,
in the same standard, who's been a liability in singles in every sort of thing that they've been
in Rome. He was really bad in Rome. He should not have been on that team having a baby.
He
2
was
weeks before.
okay in whistling. He was not great in whistling. They
Just
blew
okay
him
in
out, so it
whistling.
didn't matter.
Correct.
Listen, I'm just asking you to hold Spieth to the same standard that you hold Keegan, which is a very high standard. And I keep hearing Jamie Donaldson's name brought up every time someone sort of gets off. And also, I want to respond to someone who's not here. All right, I'm going to pivot off you for a second. Jamie's insane contention that Americans are only good at team sports we invented is just
I didn't want to get bogged down in this.
I'm just going to go through this very quickly. Yes, individualism is built into Americans' DNA more than Europeans, but Americans are way better at fucking team sports than Jamie. I can't believe you guys let him slide.
I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to get bogged down in this. Like we just got bogged down for the last 15 minutes with just
This has been a very cathartic discussion for me. All right. Americans are very good at hockey, at softball, at water polo, at basketball, at American football, which is the ultimate team sport. The idea that like just because Americans aren't good in soccer, that they're bad teammates, like the sweeping statements that people make about the Ryder Cup and the Americans can't do this because they're not like good collaborators or they don't have like a sort of collaborative socialism spirit. It's just nonsense. It's total nonsense. And I won't stand for it.
I don't think it's total nonsense.
I don't believe that you can make sweeping statements. Like they had to change the fucking rules of the Ryder Cup because the Americans were kicking the shit out of Europeans so bad. If Europeans were such like scrappy good teammates, like why didn't it work out? It's kind of about like talent in a lot of ways. It's not just about
Seve.
Before Seve, dog.
Everything changed with Seve. Like they
dog,
put a
just
system
make
in
them
place.
play more freaking four-ball. That's all that they really need to do. Like Americans need to
foursomes.
figure out how to play more four-ball growing up. That's what it comes down to.
All right, I want to jump in
Do
here.
you mean foursomes?
Whatever, foursomes. Yes, excuse me, foursomes.
I wanna
I
go
can't
back
even get
to,
the name right. We play it so little.
I feel like we batted around the order there. I want to go back. I want to go top of the order. KBV's friend who summarized, it's all about the data. It's all about intangibles. We need to change, but we can't change anything. I co-sign that. That's what I took away from your position as well. Your reaction to that.
Sure. I mean, I'll do the same exact thing again. I'm sure this will be the last time we have to go through it and won't have to do it every single Sunday from everything there. I don't have the secret. Like, I don't think there's like a special formula here. I don't have like, I think it's very disingenuous that you could summarize that entire take into a sentence or a paragraph that I would say that there's just some formula that you can apply to any person in their scenario. I don't know how many times like we have done the whole like, but you said it's all about the data. Like we're getting up to double-digit time periods of having to go through this whole part. Like, here's what I'll say. Data, of course, like plays a part in putting your team together. Strokes gained is a great reference point for us, like at home, to talk about this stuff. It puts some information up against like gut feelings people have about certain guys. For instance, on the last pod, Jamie's like, Jordan Spieth's falling off a cliff. It's like, if you look at the strokes gained, like that's not accurate, even close to accurate. Like that's the whole point is people can tend to do this thing every week, which I'm now going to make it a weekly habit of making fun of. When somebody rises up the leaderboard of, there you go, there's Bud Colley up on the top of the leaderboard. Forget about
I would
last
love
four
to respond to that. I'm not going to interrupt you, but I would love to respond to that thing when you're done.
I believe that was an interruption to that.
Okay.
Thank you very
That's
much.
a mild interruption, but I'm letting you keep going, please. I see the floor back to you.
Give me the
So,
last
like,
word.
again, go back to Keegan. For the 2023 Ryder Cup, like Keegan was 11th in strokes gained in the 3 months leading up to it and 11th in strokes gained in the 6 months leading up to the last Ryder Cup. I contend, like when you get toward the bottom of that strokes gained list, the differences are so small. I would never campaign for somebody to be on the team because they have 0.08 strokes gained better than the next guy over the last 6 months or whatever, because it means very little at that point. But what happened with Keegan in 2023, he won a tournament. Like, and everybody freaked out about that. And when someone wins a tournament in a Ryder Cup year, people lose their fucking minds. And it was his only top 20 finish dating back to April of that year. But for a lot of people, that doesn't seem to matter. If you win a tournament, like, you should be on the team. That's kind of what I tend to find myself fighting against, to say, well, hey, all the golf counts. Like, you don't get to just point at the best result, because a lot of guys have great peak weeks. To me, it does. If you feel differently about that, please feel free. I would say Keegan was very clearly considered for a Ryder Cup spot in 2023, probably the last man out. His numbers were astonishingly close to Sam Burns, to the point where it's not a big differential.
And Ricky, who got be part of the boys club to
Ricky's
come along.
numbers blew both of
They
them
were
away.
not bleeding up, blow them away. We did this last year, and it was
Oh my
close.
God.
It was the
You're
site you're
gonna
talking
make
about.
If
It
you want
was
to interrupt
close,
me to
but it
do it, I'll
wasn't.
pull up the numbers. I was astonished when I looked this up earlier today, how good Ricky's numbers were, because I regretted supporting Ricky for this one. And do you want me to go back into it, or do you want to admit that you were wrong? I can pull up.
I think just going to admit that it was close. I know Ricky's numbers were better, but I don't think it was significantly better. I think that you were like,
half
Ricky's
shot
got
better
right.
over a 6-month period. That's significant. Ricky was the 6th best American over the 6 months leading up to the Ryder Cup. Like, Ricky
really
put together a
paid
really
off in
strong
Rome.
2023.
Paid off in Rome, didn't it?
Not the point.
I'm waiting for you to finish.
Well, you concede that you were wrong about that. No,
a half shot difference for those keeping score at home is the difference between Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas right now.
Yeah, it's a big gap.
It's big,
very big gap. So thank you for that.
Okay,
pause on that, because I'm not talking about 2023. I don't give a shit about that. And actually, you're making my point, I think, which is that team was way better, had way more weapons to choose from. Keegan was the first man out. I agree. Like, all of that makes sense. My only point, and then I will duck out of this conversation, because I don't know how anybody could disagree with this part, is every time we get done with a Ryder Cup, we go into just, oh, they moved this mow line on 13 here, and that cost 0.05 strokes, but they knew that this was going to be different here, and they made guys hit from 185 instead of 180. And like, that's how you win these Ryder Cups, is just all these little teeny tiny advantages. My point, I do not give a fuck about Keegan. I don't really like Keegan. I don't care if he's the captain. I don't care if he's not the captain. My whole point is, like, he's definitely in the conversation as one of the players. He should be, like, if you're putting,
If he was not the captain,
he's definitely in the conversation as one of the best available American players. And to say that the margins are so thin and we have to look for every possible advantage, and then to just, like, completely rule out a player, or for a player to completely rule out themselves, is where I'm like, that is so fucking stupid. And that's all I'm sure that we can agree on there, is just like, it would be better to have 15 possible options than 14, because if we're looking for all these different player combinations and stat sync and all of these things, it's just like, the fact that you can just, like, flush an entire like literal player from, like, well, he said 8 months ago, like, he wasn't going to pick himself. So I don't know, despite the fact that circumstances have changed, despite the fact that we might not have, a 12th guy, like, we got to honor that, is where I keep coming back to the Armageddon thing of, like, wouldn't it just be easier to teach somebody else to be the captain, since Keegan would therefore already be in the fucking room and already be involved in all of these things? Like, we really can't get another sweatsuit and another golf cart for somebody to, like,
the easiest answer to that is just make Davis Love the assistant captain, and basically say Keegan is the captain, but he is also playing, and like, Davis Love can handle any decision that needs to be made.
So I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not saying Keegan is beating the door down. I'm not saying he's the 5th best American, and if it's a travesty if he's on this team. I'm just saying, it's like, the fact that if it's even close, you're, like, completely ruling somebody out, feels very stupid. And I'm sure you can agree with that.
Sure. I think I would think that of the 6 captains' choices that are available to somebody, and the captain, like, one of 6 captains' choices and the captain, the biggest role is a captain. And you can agree on that with that or not. Not a lot of people would, but, like, I am of the hope and belief that I walked away from Rome thinking this. So, like, talking to a bunch of players, talking to the scouts guys, talking to assistant captains about what happened and everything there. I walked away from that feeling of, like, the U.S. does not have a Rory or a Rahm or any of these guys in the room that will, like, just buy into Team USA like those guys do Team Europe. They do not have a player that's willing to be, like, a leader and just, like, lead by example, not be afraid to look stupid, not be afraid to play. If somebody's asked to play twice in foursomes instead of playing all 5 times, not being willing to accept that. That was a feeling I had. Was like, dude, there's nobody in the room that's going to do that. There's a rift between captaincy and players. Like, I feel like the players are trying to tug more control away from it. And I've told one of the players in there, I was like, dude, I think you have to be the guy. I think you have to be, like, the dude that's willing to just look stupid. Like, you have the resume and the criteria to do that. Like they went and chose Keegan. I was shocked initially, but I was like, honestly, that's probably like the best chance to get like a player that's not on the team, but like a player amongst this core of guys that's not ZJ, that's not older than them, that's not Stuart Sink, that's not Jim Furyk, that they view as a peer that is willing to be the leader and be the one that looks dumb and to evoke energy and get everything out of all of the guys on the team. Like that's where I believe that Keegan can be that guy. I know none of the details. I know none of the backstory. I'm going in totally blind on this. I thought ZJ could be that guy, and that couldn't have been more fucking wrong. So all that to say, like, I think, DJ, I don't disagree with your point. I think the difference between Keegan and the 13th man right now is not enough to, like, unwind all of that and just, like, throw someone else. If throwing somebody else in as captain is a total panic move, and it is such an unnecessary risk at this point. I think the captaincy is a way bigger job than you're describing it as. I'm not saying that you understand. I think you understand it better than you're describing it as. And like, we can't sit here and praise Luke Donald and all of the genius European captains and totally dismiss that role on the U.S. side is kind of where I come at.
You make some good points. Here's what I'll say, though, just in sort of a slight rebuttal. Part of the reason that we praise Luke Donald is because when some like European player who's like the 12th or 11th person or somebody automatically qualifies who does not seem to have the resume, back when they did the point system a little different, when like the 6th person on the European tour or whatever made it, the Europeans like rally around that person. They're like, all right, Victor Dubuisson, you are a fucking weirdo. We are going to take you, and Graham's going to figure out. You make this point all the time with Graham McDowell. I feel like when the JT Postons or when the JJ Spawns are kind of in the mix, Americans are like, oh God, I cannot possibly have JT Poston on the squad. Like, we cannot have like some of these guys. We gotta just take what we know or whatever. And I think that's the difference there, and is that like, to be like dismissive of some of the guys like a JT Poston or whatever is, I think, sort of like it shows the American mentality of like, well, you're not kind of really with us. You're not really like one of our people. Whereas the Europeans are like, know what? Fuck it. If you are close to it, you are one of us. We will make you one of us. And that's therein where it's like, when you make fun of like, oh, Bud Colley won a tournament. So fuck it. I don't know. Bud Colley might be a good Ryder Cupper. Europe would probably make the Bud Colley equivalent into a good, like a Thomas LeVay or whatever, some Frenchman who ends up winning crucial points for the Europeans in that stretch of run that they had.
I would also say I think there's multiple ways to skin the cat here, and I don't think that Team USA is going to wake up suddenly, no matter who the captain is, and be like, guys, it's time to buy in. Like, I think they are who they are, and it's all about just like getting the best golf out of them. You make this point all the time too, is like, why did Scotty show up and lay a complete egg? And I don't think it's nothing that it's just like I think at least some of that is just infrastructural stuff, and just like, we didn't prep correctly. We were jet lagged. We were like all of those things where I'm like, dude, that doesn't take a rocket scientist. It doesn't take a current player. It doesn't take that's something somebody else over the next 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, whatever, like, can probably figure out. And that's my point with Keegan, is like, the counter, I think, is Steve Stricker. It's like, do you think he's in there like playing inspirational videos? Do you think he's in there like giving big rah speeches? No, I think he's just like getting the fuck out of the way and just being like, you guys are like the best players in the world. Like, please, do you need a sandwich? Do you need like who wants to play with who? Like, let me know.
Team.
That's what I'm saying.
That group was different than this team, though. Like, the talent level is like, it's different, right? I mean, it is. I don't disagree with what you're saying.
I don't think the mentality is that different, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think there's enough blood turning over that it's like, oh man, there's all these young guys coming up and they're built totally differently, man. And they're just like a big rah squad. Like, they're all pretty much the same, is what it seems like from the outside looking in.
I feel like the 2021 team, the home field advantage, the COVID advantage, and the talent gap between those two teams, roll the balls out and play. Like, you can lose on the margins. That team was still going to win.
Yeah.
I don't think this team can afford that. I think that, like, they're going to have to figure out the best way to get something out of a Mav McNeely or a JT Poston or an Akshay. Like, they're going to have to figure out that part of the equation. And those guys are going to have to go play singles matches as well. Like, it's a different formula. And like, all of this Keegan application all works. I just think that decision has been made. Like, all of that application works prior to deciding on a captain, right? Like, I think we could have had this combo of like, should it be Keegan or Tiger? I think you'd be like, well, fuck, what happens if Keegan plays really well? And you got this whole storyline. Like, that to me just seems like it's part of the path. Like, it's been decided on.
Can we get you to agree that the Keegan thing was a bad decision?
Not yet. No, absolutely not. I'm willing to. I think he's maybe the best chance they have at being like a really good cornerstone captain. Like, I do. I don't know any details on that. I just don't. His play's not been like, again, similar to 2023. It's not like beating the door down. Like the discussions we've had around like trying to get like guys onto the final spots on this team. It's almost like Keegan gets compared to 2021 Scotty Scheffler, which I think was one of the tougher debates I've ever had to live through in
I
my
just feel
entire
like,
life.
listen, part of the reason that I came around to this position is I felt like I put my neck on the line for JT. I wrote 2 freaking columns being like, you got to take this guy, like, reputationally, like, it doesn't matter if he sucks. Like, and now I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Like that whole like reputational thing didn't mean shit. And so I don't really feel like I want to ride for the same dudes anymore. I feel like go out and prove it. And like, if Keegan's one of the 12 best players, then I think maybe he should get to go. Like, instead of being like, well, I don't know, we got to take the guys that we trust. And like,
Is
I
it one bad Ryder Cup and you're out though? Like that, JT's had
I don't know.
one
You
and
hold
two.
Keegan to that same standard. Like he had one great Ryder Cup and one meh Ryder Cup in a disastrous captain with Phil, who like was like, well, we don't want to play in the freaking late sessions today because I'm so tired. I'm putting everything I have in this match, so don't put us out again. Like I don't feel like Keegan should be held entirely accountable for what happened in Glen Eagles. Like that's what frustrates me about the Keegan analysis of like, well, he's only 4-3. Like he played pretty well in 2 Ryder Cups. JT played pretty well in 2 Ryder Cups and bad in 1 Ryder Cup. So I feel like, the standards for 2 years ago aren't quite the same. Keegan was definitely playing better than Justin Thomas prior to Rome. Maybe he wasn't playing better than Ricky, but he's playing better than Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas got to go, and Kevin Van Valkenburg stuck his neck out and said, God, you got to bring Justin Thomas. And then he let me down. So I feel like, you know what? I'm done with the boys club for a little bit.
I mean, JT was 1, 2, and 1 in Rome, and he was anchored by
his strokes
speed.
gain stuff was terrible. I know there's a lot of noise in the strokes gain stuff when it comes to the like Ryder Cups because it's alternate shot and all that stuff. But he was statistically like one of the worst players in Rome. I remember we talked about this and looked it up.
He was, especially in putting, he putted very poorly, but it was like also Spieth was the worst. Like he was completely anchored. And again, where a lot of that, and I'm making excuses for him, sure. None of this is going to register for people. That's fine. Like there was an instance he whiffed on a shot, I think, because Spieth put him in such a bad, he literally put him in like in the biggest haze. So you get like a -1 right there, right? Like if you followed those matches when they played in foursomes, Spieth was awful. And Spieth wanted to sit, and they didn't have enough guys to sub in for him. And they didn't have a plan. They didn't have a backup plan for what happens if one of these guys cannot find the club face. The guy that just had a baby 2 weeks ago, they didn't have a fucking plan for it. Like that's where I go back to like, JT was 6-2-1 in Ryder Cups going into that one. Like I was totally willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And like, did the numbers support that? No, but it just comes down like how he was playing support that. But do I regret that? I do not. I really don't for him in particular. Because to me, again, despite where I get frustrated is it comes down to like, wait, when is it about the data or when is it not about the data? And it's about the data as like a talking point for when I hear this, like he's playing that much better than this person. It's like, well, can we at least reference this around some points? Can we pin ourselves around this? I've never once advocated for printing off the top 12 in strokes gained and going with that team. To me, it comes down to who do you want in your foxhole? There's some guys like no matter what their strokes gained says, I don't want in that foxhole. I don't want Patrick Reed. All right, we've done that. I'm good on that one. Brian Harman had a great summer. I thought that was a bad golf course for him. I did not like that format at all, and he did not play very well in that one. Justin Thomas, again, who has carried this U.S. team since he's been in red, white, and blue in President's Cups and in Ryder Cups. I do want in that foxhole. I was willing to find out on that one. He went 1, 2, and 1. Still don't regret that one, even if his play did not stack up against the other guys in strokes gained. I got tricked into believing in Ricky.
I think Keegan should have been that guy for you. You should have been Keegan could have been that guy. He cares as much as Justin Thomas does about the Ryder Cup. And I just wanted you to come around to that position of like, you know what? Like I want him in my foxhole, and you didn't want Keegan in your foxhole back then. And I feel like that was an error. So listen, I'm sure we'll talk about this many, many times.
We can, but pause on this. Like to this point, Keegan also said, like, I don't get along. Like essentially, I'm summarizing. I don't get along with a lot of those guys. I've treated all of my opponents like enemies since in my entire career out here. Like he was not a popular. Like it's a tough sell in a locker room of guys that like you're not friends with. You don't. And I know this is where the boys club parts comes in, but like. It comes down to like whether or not the guys that are going to be on that team trust you as well, or like you, or want to be around you, or want to play with you, or want you to be a part of the team. And he failed on that test, and like he admitted that. Like that's, and I think he's been like a different person towards a lot of these guys since then.
You know what? Victor Dubuisson was a pretty effective Ryder Cup player for Europe that time when he stuck him with Graham. Everybody didn't like him. I'm Sure, dudes would have loved to hit balls out of the middle of the fairway in Rome. And Keegan's a really good driver of the golf ball. Would he make every putt? No, but like it would have been pretty good to pair with someone who can make a lot of putts.
And we can do that, but it's also like the
Max
Ryder Cup.
Homa and Keegan playing together instead of Brian Harmon. That would have been a great. I know Brian qualified, so that doesn't quite work. But like, Sam Burns, like, Scotty could play with anybody. So anyway,
They lost by a mile.
My,
it was over in the first set. You know what I mean? Like Scotty didn't show up. Xander didn't show up. Morikawa didn't show up. Like they were not winning unless those guys played serious golf anyways. If they'd got down to half point or a point loss, and then it's like, then you get down to those captain's picks and you're like, this could have been very, very different. But that's not what happened.
Thank you for letting me have a Ryder Cup putt within the pod. DJ, go ahead if you have one more point.
Last thing I just wanted to flag, because I thought it was like big, bold, circled in my notebook, good take from Tron and Jamie, is everybody likes to foist a lot of the credit on Luke Donald and, oh my God, he cracked the code and he read all these leadership books and blah, 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 all of which is true. But also he has an entire infrastructure around him of people that are all swimming in the same direction, all rowing towards the same goal, all adopting the same mindset. Dodo Molinari is the most outspoken, kind of visible of those, but there's a bunch of other people in the same way, the DP World Tour people, player relations people, media people, all of those people kind of like seem to be playing from the same playbook. And I just want to circle that, like, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Who knows? But it does not seem like that's what's going on for America. So to your point about how important the captain is, I think there's some diversification of that stuff that seems like it could probably happen. To say it in a much shorter way, like, I don't know who Keegan's number 2 is. I don't know who his Dodo Molinari is. And maybe they're keeping all that secret and they're doing it with StatSync guys or who knows. But, I know it was John Wood. Like, I know that was kind of like a big to-do, was announcing him as kind of this player liaison. We're going to get this thing right type of thing, but haven't heard much from him. Don't know really what's going on. And I don't know, maybe the Europeans are just more outspoken about it, but I just think that is like a very interesting thing to try to, it seems from the outside looking in, like they're going to just foist it all on this captain to like go rebuild it and change it. And I'm very curious what what's below the tip of the iceberg there.
And that's where I think, like, if you pull back on this, why I'm so invested in this whole thing is like after 2014, the weird task force, as much as we made fun of the task force, it was like, I was super intrigued just this mechanism of this team that is allegedly less talented on paper keeps beating this other team. Like, how do they solve for this riddle? And it felt at times like they really had gained on it. It really did. And then they go on the road and it just seems like everything goes backwards again. And then it's like reset in some way. And they come home and they usually take care of business. And then they've forgotten about the road problems and they end up falling into the same traps they always do on the road. And maybe Keegan goes and wins this one. He says, I'm doing the next one too. And like, here's how we're doing it for the road. Like that's what I guess I'm pinning my hopes on at this point. But also ZJ just left. Like, ZJ legitimately hindered my love of the Ryder Cup. Like the way that all went down and that lack of leadership. I'm way less excited for this Ryder Cup than any Ryder Cup I've ever.
I legitimately don't think we've spent enough time talking about how bad of a captain Zach Johnson was. Like, totally. I think you make a case that he was worse than Tom Watson. I know that's like a big bold statement, but I think you can. Like,
so last as we like, for the record, I think also each year, like, putting your team together is different. Like, in a year where the bottom of the US team looks as weak as this one, I'm probably less inclined to get twisted up in the data again, compared to 2021, when we're fighting off the Kevin Nas and Kevin Kisners to get Scotty fucking Scheffler on the team. Like, the information is telling us right now that there's not a Scotty-like talent at the bottom of this list that needs to be considered, that needs to get favoritism over a veteran that is a more recognizable name. And like,
plus it's Luke Clinton.
Maybe, and sure, potentially he should be on the radar. And if he has an incredible summer, then we can do that fight. But this would have been a great year for Keegan to not been the captain. He's hitting the ball way better than he is in 2023. That's another thing with looking at data for me, is like, who's on a good putting run versus who are the true, like, who has actually evolved in their ball striking. That's what these match play events especially tend to really get come down to. Like, if it had been like what Andrew Novak or what Ben Griffin are doing right now at the end of 2021, I still would have like ridden for Scotty, because like at his core, I believe him to be that much better of a player. I would be really surprised if I got twisted up in even one single guy being like, yo, this is a major talented guy that has to be on the team ahead of guys that are hot or whatever it might be. Like, I don't know if that makes sense at all, but like it's a relevant point. Like it's almost like if you gave a point system to like, all right, is your golf on a 1 to 10? If it's 7 and your personality is a 3, or like your ability to rise to the occasion in big events a 3, that goes into the equation. And if there's another guy whose golf is on a 1 to 7, it fits in like a 6. That's probably a stronger candidate for a team, if you ask me. So, I don't know.
Only the true perverts remain. So let's move on to item number 7. Guys, we have a new LPGA commissioner, Craig Kessler. He is 39 years old and was recently the COO of the PGA of America. Guys, perhaps without coincidence, the LPGA parted ways with its chief marketing officer yesterday, Mark Chimura. Earlier this year, they also parted ways with Nicole Metzger, who was in charge of chief partnership and sales. Seems to be like, they're trying things. This is a question maybe best answered by Cody and Randy, but what does Kessler need to focus on in his job? And why hasn't the sport done a better job of marketing the fact that it has an American who is probably the best player in the world, in, of course, Nelly Korda?
I think you're right. I mean, I think this is probably a Cody and Randy question, who follow it much, much, much closer than I do. But I guess I would throw out, it seems like in talking to a couple players, Molly did a lot of things that probably aren't going to be super, super visible. I mean, I know there's health insurance stuff. There's different traveling staff that got accounted for. Like there's a lot of different things I think that she did that was like, let's take this from, let's not treat this like a women's sport. Let's treat this like a sport. I think there was a lot of infrastructural stuff that got done that seemed like it was pretty popular and pretty, overdue. And it seems like where things kind of floundered was just on the business side of things, and specifically golf connections, and just like making a really solid golf core with those partners that are essential to, build up the LPGA. And so a lot of it, like, I think the business was just in really tough shape by the time Molly was kind of sidelined. And so I think it's just kind of like, once you get the train back on the tracks, or maybe it is part of getting the train back on the tracks, is identifying what your strongest assets are and how to break through. I just think it's really hard ask, man. And if I had a great idea, I would share it. But I think it's just very easy to huck it as like, why don't they just do a Caitlin Clark? And it's like, well, yeah, that's not how it's not really how it works, man. That's a pretty like once in a like 5 generation type of moment that women's basketball had. And so I don't know, man. I don't have a lot of great answers other than to say a lot of the things that we say constantly on this podcast, which is like, the women's game has some really great assets to it. It's a great, great, great in-person experience. It's a great way to, I know people sometimes don't like the relatability thing because they can think it's patronizing. It's actually like the complete opposite. It's the same scale as most of the people listening to this podcast. It's the best in the world that are also playing the same scale of a game you are. I just talked about, Aldrich Potgieter hitting the ball 390. Like, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not hitting it 390. What you are probably doing is hitting it 265, 270, and with a similar ball speed to what they're doing. And like, if you want to see what it looks like to completely max out abilities at those speeds and in those dimensions, that's what the LPGA is so great for. And that's why I can't wait to go watch this week at Erin Hills. And so, how do you bottle that up and make that a great television product? Like, it's a hard answer. I don't know, because I think everything on TV does end up getting flattened out, and a 390-yard drive looks the same as a 270-yard drive, so it's a really, really tough challenge. And I think where I've always struggled with the LPGA, I'm kind of rambling into some different territory here, is like, they've kind of always tried to make the same broadcast as the PGA Tour with less resources. And it kind of just is like, what if we just try to copy something that's already pretty broken with commercials and is way more boring than it should be, and we just make like a worse version of it, with like less cameras and less talent and like on-air talent. And it just ends up being like pretty tough to watch, candidly. I'm sure you guys wouldn't disagree with that. And so what I would love to see is just like experimenting more with different formats. Like, I don't think it's that precious of something that, especially like a Thursday, Friday, even Saturday sometimes broadcast, like, man, just push it. Just mic people up, follow one group, post-produce stuff on YouTube in a different way. Like, there's just so many different things that it seems like you can do. And instead it's just, kind of trying to do this like the same but worse sort of playbook. And so I don't know. Long answer, but I guess what I'm saying is like it seems like there's a core of golf that is probably very interested in like would be very appealed by the women's game, and I think it's going to take some very outside the box thinking to figure out how to apply that to casual fans and continue to just like souping up the in-person on-site experience. Sorry, what am I missing there?
No, my answer was a lot more defeatist in terms of just like, I mean, until this TV deal is over, there's not much you can do to create the buzz other than what you're talking about. The supplemental stuff is where it's got to come from. I mean, thinking out, it should not. Yeah, you said it perfectly with just you can't do the same version of something that's bad and do it worse. Like you just and you can't like rig the events to be, I want to say like part of the problem is there's a lot of parity and a lot of fluctuation and a lot of unrecognizable names on a lot of the leaderboards for a lot of casual fans, to the point where you can't change that. Like it's a meritocracy and it's a golf tournament. So how do you change the way you present your product and create it make it a lot more interesting from a presentation standpoint? A fresh regime should say nothing's off the table, like completely nothing's off the table. But it seems like there's a huge difference in like what I think Kessler's job is and like what is best for fans, right? Because I think you can be the LPGA commissioner if you get your sponsors, keep the money going up, get the sponsors in the door, keep the players paid, keep signing up tournaments. Like the show keeps going on, right? It's not dissimilar to that on the PGA Tour as well. So like even if it's not getting a ton of fan interest on television, like the price range that they're operating in for sponsors, they're still going to be able to find them hopefully and put on tournaments and get players paid. Like that's what a member organization is. I think we as fans would have a different viewpoint of what would be considered successful in that regard. And I hope that it comes in with a fresh consideration, but I also think they're stuck in a TV deal that's not going to get better anytime soon. So not to be the pessimistic view, but that's how I feel.
When does the TV deal end, Soly? Do you know, or do you know?
Whenever the PGA Tour
Yeah, I think
deal ends, which is 2029.
Yeah.
The number one thing I think I would want, and this is again a wish thing, is like somehow get ESPN involved. ESPN's really good at been promoting the WNBA. They've like shown that there are different storylines there. I would go to Netflix and be like, you know what? How about we do like a women's version of Full Swing? Like there's kind of diminishing returns on what you guys have done with the PGA Tour. Like we would love to get the women involved and just introduce them to the general public as characters in some ways that you feel more invested in. The TV product is the whole thing. It's gotta. I think the reason why I say get ESPN involved is because whatever you say about ESPN, they take a lot of pride in their broadcasts and what they do. They don't short shrift stuff really. Like even if they have fewer resources on stuff, they try really hard to
They
present
have shoulder
product.
programming. They have people at events like they like live from at a women's major is like unimaginable. Like they wouldn't even consider it. Like,
and getting the people on First Take to occasionally like talk about the LPGA. Like that's what ESPN does, right? Is it like feeds into its live stuff? I think that would be super helpful. So I would take less money to be able to get it onto a network that cares whenever the deal comes up and comes around.
I was at the U.S. Women's Open Media Day. I think they do have live from at the Women's Open this year. So that's a one-off case. But
USGA event, yeah, a one-off. Like KPMG Women's PGA, I think 1 year was on Peacock for the back nine. Like it's Chevron. They're some of their majors they don't have. Yeah, there's one major that they do have live from on, but it's not a constant. That's for sure.
Guys, real quick, I'm not going to spend much time on this, but Bubba Watson was in studio with Soly's buddy Pat McAfee this week, and he let Pat know that he really likes LIV way more than the PGA Tour because he doesn't play as much, and when he does, his kids can be inside the ropes on the driving range. His kids are getting older, and he just loves to have them around and whatnot. I don't think we need to debate LIV again, but I kind of remain baffled that this is somehow something that they LIV guys still think is a selling point for fans. Like, yeah, man, like we just kind of take it easy out here. It's like so great, such a good lifestyle. This just wouldn't apply in any other sport if NFL players were like, yeah, we joined this league, like this China funded league, because like we just don't hit as hard and we just like don't have to run as fast. It's so cool. Like, I just don't know why like that continues to be the marketing for LIV. Like,
it's kind of a funny one too with the LPGA conversation that we just had. Because if I was one of the top 10 players in the LPGA and I heard a guy like that be like, yeah, man, we just like don't work that hard and the kids are running around and we play for like $25 million a week and it's good, it's a nice life that we've got. I would be like pulling my fucking hair out. Just be like, really? Okay, Cool. Well, I guess I'll go pay my caddy who's making like $12,000 a year and sleeping with, 3 other caddies in a
Brothers,
hotel
guys.
room and trying to I guess we'll go try to win the tournament tomorrow. Sounds good. Yeah, I don't know. Don't have a lot more to add other than I'm glad he seems like he's doing great. Seems like
Yeah.
he's living life to the fullest. Hard to
I think
He
the
did.
best
Yeah.
the best sell for Live going forward is if it becomes a retirement tour like that, or becomes like the Champions Tour like that. Everybody above 45 goes and plays that instead of the Champs Tour. That's the best possible solution to all this. So I support Bubba in his endeavors.
Thank you, Soly. Guys, number 8 on our list, the blow pig, Wyndham Clark. He sent out an apology for throwing his driver through the wall at the PGA Championships and nearly decapitating a marshal. And this turned into an activation for T-Mobile. T-Mobile put out a tweet that said, "Wyndham, you've got our support. And the good news is that our 5G network is ready for almost anything, even if our signs aren't." Very funny to me that this turned into an activation, considering that Wyndham was like, I really let everyone down. Like I need to be better. I need to get some help, whatnot. It made me think about what some famous meltdowns in golf history could have turned into activations. The one that kind of struck me is when Sergio took off his shoe at the World Match Play and threw it into the stands or
A
whatever.
lot of Sergio wins.
Would have been a great opportunity to like switch shoe companies there and be like, now I have shoes that don't slip. And a couple years ago, when John Rahm was like just a rookie, I was actually there at the US Open watching him freak out, throw a rake, and punch a sign like several times, and just completely. This is like Rahm at his best lunatic stage. In fact, this might have been the beginning of the Rahm impression. I think it would be great for like an anti-rage medication. All the pharmaceutical ads, like Romzelium or something, would be like an anti-rage drug, and that's why I take it every week. And to play my best. So I don't know if there's any others you could think of, but made me laugh that turned into an activation for T-Mobile.
I think first of all, that you can kind of just cash me out on all of the
Just like
on all of that. I got
Very Bo Burnham-esque.
I got the press release about that. TC and I were talking about that, and like the kicker on the press release was just like follow up if you want to know what's next for 5G at golf. And I was like, I don't have that question. I'm really worried about this Ryder Cup stuff right now. If I'm being honest, I don't. Maybe we can get to 5G next time, but Rory hucking his, what was it, 4-iron or something into the lake at Doral, and then Trump had that guy go swim out and grab it and like present it back to him on the driving range. I'm sure there's
what a weird moment.
some sort of scuba gear or something like that you could hawk around there. I'm trying to think what else would be on
the Van de Velde one I kept thinking of. I couldn't quite get what that would be or something. Waterproof shoes or something would have been a good moment for that.
Not really a meltdown, but I'm kind of shocked Callaway. Like it would have been kind of good to talk about the bounce on Phil's wedge when he hit that shot from the hospitality tent, and how like the bounce on that wedge like allowed him to clip that perfectly off the plywood of that hospitality tent up in New Jersey.
There's something inappropriate I could do, but I haven't like merged all together about Sergio having the meltdown in the bunkers in Saudi Arabia that got him disqualified, and a very inappropriate comment that he made about those bunkers.
Google that one. If you're bored.
Yeah. Speaking of Phil, guys, then our final entry on the back nine. Is this going to be Phil's last US Open? This is the last year of his exemption from winning in Kiowa. I feel like this story is almost irrelevant because he's sort of turned into a 4chan type figure on the X app. But I'm just wondering if you have any feelings about Phil. I contend Phil, one of the great US Open players of all time, even though he never managed to win one. And I'm not sure he's going to get any exemptions going forward after calling Mike Wan a dick on Twitter multiple times over Taylor Gooch's exclusion from the 2023 US Open. But just would love to hear any of your thoughts on whether this is the last ride for Phil in our national Open.
I mean, I hope not. Like I want him there, especially if you're
There's no
giving
reason to not want him there.
especially if you're giving Ricky exemptions, and like it seems like they kind of, or that was a PGA. I'm sorry, I take that back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the US Open doesn't hand out as many. I kind of have PGA on the brain, but they don't hand out the exemptions quite so willy nilly. I mean, next year at Shinnecock, I know you finished runner up there twice, right? At least once.
Yeah. Yep.
And then Pebble, which feels very like legitimately could win in 2027. Like who the fuck knows? And then Wingfoot in 2028. It's like, well, come on, we gotta have him back at Wingfoot, right?
He'll be like 57 years old, 58 years old. Like he's 53 now.
Is he
dude.
really? God, I keep thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. God, remember how
I
him
mean,
playing
Arnie
those
did play in that
events?
one. Arnie, I think, was 60 something when he played in that one during the OJ
Well,
chase.
and then we got
It was at Oakmont.
And then we got Pinehurst after that, and then we
Yeah.
got Marion after that. It's like
Listen,
he's
he's finished
at all
second
these
at a lot
places.
of places. He's been a great US Open player. He just hasn't gotten it done.
Phil's 54, turning 55 in June.
Okay. Wow.
And he's only finished second at Shinnecock the one time. But you can't keep inviting him to all the places he's finished second because he'll just be playing on the US Open circuit forever.
It's truly like Pebble, he finished second, right? Wingfoot, he definitely did.
No.
He didn't.
Did he finish second with Graham McDowell gear?
So
I don't
finished
think
second
he
in
did.
99
he was
at
top
Pinehurst.
10. Yeah.
He finished second in 02 at Bethpage. He finished second in 02 or 04 at Shinnecock. T2 at Wingfoot. 2009.
Yeah.
That was also Bethpage.
Yeah.
He finished
Lucas
second.
Glover. Yeah.
And then
Marion.
2013 was Marion.
Yeah,
He finished runner-up.
So maybe Marion 2030. That's the last one. Give him an exemption until he's what?
He'll be 60 years old. Just love it. Let's just send him off. All right.
He should get
Hope
one
he's done in
exemption
jail
for
at
every
that
second
point.
that he's gotten. That's my official
I like
stance.
that. I like
Put
that.
put some data behind it.
All right. I don't know if you guys want to do any more, but Angel won the senior PGA. I don't really think we need to spend much time debating.
Other than just nice tour. The guy comes out of jail and wins two majors back to back weeks.
Scotty basically did that too, to be fair.
True. Nice tour.
Big moment for the felons,
Yeah. Yeah. It shows that it works. You put a guy in prison, he has to think about what he's done and comes out and he's a changed man. Very Shawshank-esque story.
As mentioned, the U.S. Women's Open is this week at Erin Hills. We'll have a preview out, I believe, Monday night, maybe Tuesday with the holiday. I'm not positive on that. We have a happy hour show on Wednesday. I have a live show on Saturday night, teeing up the final round, as well as, of course, live on Sunday as well. We have some new level wear items in the pro shop. New lightweight hoodies for men and women, new T-shirts as well, including new youth options. You can check out the Lux Tee, a streetwear-inspired premium unisex T-shirt with no laying up embroidery. Neil had one of those on. I immediately was like, oh, what's that one? He said, come to the store. And that store is at store.nolayingup.com. Swing on by there and stock up for summer.
Also going to be doing some filming this week. Soly and Randy are coming to Milwaukee. We're going to be doing a little video, bouncing around town. Got some great spots lined up. I think if the weather cooperates, we're going to have ourselves a hell of a trip. And I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to spoil it, but just maybe watch the Brewers game. Maybe watch the Brewers game on Tuesday. That's all I'm going to say. Watch closely. Watch closely. Yes. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I'm packing the Footjoy waterproofs just in case my my doomsday app is right about how much rain we're gonna get Wednesday.
It's gonna be fun.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. KVV, thank you for a spirited, lively Ryder Cup discussion. DJ Pie as well on Memorial Day weekend. Everyone enjoy the long weekend. Don't forget, of course, to remember what Memorial Day is all about. Those who have lost their lives in service of the United States of America. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you as well to Footjoy, to The Stack, to Whoop, and the No Laying Up Pro Shop. Crack on.
Cheers.
Woo.